Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to our third, what's that? 1, 2, 3, third Shabbat service by way of StreamYard, YouTube, Facebook. We're great. Thank you, Most High, for blessing us and strengthening us. All right, this is our first portion of class. And in our first portion of class, what we do is we like to thank the Most High for anything special, anything we feel he may have done for us that we want to acknowledge before the family. It doesn't mean that this is all that we understand the Most High has done. What it means is that these are some of the things that we like to publicly thank the Creator for. Okay? So it doesn't mean that this is the only thing we understand he has done for us, but these are the things that we want to publicly address before the family. All right? So anyone would like to thank the Most High for anything special? Now is the time to do so. If you're in the listening audience, you can type it into the room and we'll bring it up on the screen and we'll read it. And if you want to elaborate a little bit, you can elaborate and we'll read it for you. If you have the link, you can push the button for the link and come on into the live chat. All right? Shabbat Shalom, Sister Tuselia. Shabbat Shalom. I think maybe it is, family.
We hear you. We hear you.
Who would like to go first?
If you allow me, I'll go last before I teach.
I can go first if since no one else is volunteering. Shabbat Shalom, family. Definitely blessed once again to make it to another Shabbat day, to make it through to the week, and to be able to communicate and congregate with our brothers and sisters. Such a blessing to be able to be here. Most High is so great. Through all the traveling mercies, Toda to the Creator for allowing myself and my daughter to travel where we needed to go for the last couple of days for a home school convention, allowing us to make it there and back safely. Toda Rabbah for allowing my Ish and my sister wife and the grandchildren to make it through their journeys over the past couple of days as well. And I want to thank the Creator for healing my father. He is doing so much better, stronger. The surgery was very successful. So he's able to do the things that he naturally is able to do, as the Most High has foreseen. And I want to thank the Creator for allowing the case that my brother was facing to be dismissed, allowing them to see what was right to be done, and serve, make the right decision in that process. So I'm just thankful that my family has experienced some great victories and triumphs throughout this, journeys that we are on. And may the Most High continue to be with each and every one of us. May He continue to guide, shield, and protect each and every one of us, and continue to bring us into His fold under His shelter of His arms and love and protection. So Toda Rabbah for allowing me at this moment to give thanks and praise to the Creator. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Well, may the Most High be praised, Toda Rabbah. May the Most High be praised. Very good. Yeah, it's a lot. And I know Pop's been going through a lot. Pop's been, it's things that most of us would just cringe at the sound of. Like, for example, Pop had a catheter placed in his body through the head of his penis. And he endured. He sat there, he went there, they operated on him, fixed him. Well, they tried to fix him. It didn't work the first time, did it again. it's just some excruciating things, painful things that he was going through. So to hear now that he's healed, or in what is like 80%, 90% from his situation he was in, is an extreme blessing. So may the Most High be praised. I mean, really, we take it lightly when we hear about people as opposed to when we experience it ourselves. Just hearing it about a year, it make you cringe, and you be like, "Oh man, I could just imagine," but you can't imagine until you experience it. It's a horrible feeling.
Okay, and the I guess the blessing is he left today to go do a gig in North Carolina, and of course I was like, "Daddy, you still need to rest," and he was like, "Well, I feel good, so I'm going to play music." So, Most High be praised and continue to watch over him. But that just shows the strength and that he has inside of him to want to endure and start to begin to do more of the things that he enjoys. So I'm thankful for that.
And the whole time while he was sick, he was traveling. It's like, whoa. I mean, the man could barely move, but he was up traveling, going to New Orleans, going to New York, going all kind of places. He do more traveling than me in his present condition. And it's amazing. But, when it's in your blood, it's in your blood. That's what you do. And it's in his blood, and he gave it to his children. And my wife the same way, traveling. May the Most High be praised. To the Rabbah. May the Most High be praised.
Shabbat Shalom Lakulam.
Shabbat Shalom.
I would like to give thanks to the Most High for health and strength, and being in our right minds to want to serve and praise him. It's been a very exciting week, I would say. We came back from Chicago, I think about 4 days ago. I lost count. But I'm grateful for the Most High for allowing me to experience my first flight. And the flight going was a lot calmer than the flight coming back. The flight coming back, unfortunately, we had turbulence. And I was just in my mind like, why is my first flight? Why am I allowing to experience turbulence on my first flight? So I was just like, Most High, I know you're going to, keep us protected. There was a family that was behind us, a husband and wife. And the husband, when he started feeling the turbulence, I think they were Spanish, he started praying. And so they were praying together. And I thought that was cute because it's just like no matter what walk a lot of people are in, they're still going to do what they know best, and that is pray. When people get worried or things happen, people are going to pray. And we prayed too, of course. And of course, my Ishi prayed with me on our way there and on our way back, because I was telling him I was nervous. Like I literally had tears in my eyes because I was just like, I didn't know what to expect. And for me, when I'm experiencing something new, I just get nervous and anxious, but he was there with me the whole time. And I really do appreciate that. I appreciate the Most High for allowing me to see his, I don't want to use the word glory, but I want to use his magnificence in the sky. That was like, I was in awe when I was up there, because I was just like, we went from on the ground to in the sky, and up there, it was just pure beauty. It was pure beauty, because I'm just like, this is the works of the master's hands up here. And I just thought it was beautiful. Our way back, we had turbulence. Like it was a lot of shaking. The flight attendants had to sit down. But I found a moment of peace in that situation, because I was like, all that shaking, and I was like, it's not going to do anything for me if I start worrying right now. So what I did was I started breathing. I closed my eyes, and I literally was like, up here, we're literally in your hands, Creator. If something happens, there's nothing we can do about it. There are no parachutes on this plane. So what I did was I just closed my eyes and I just started breathing. I put my trust in the Most High, and I was just like, you're allowing us to go through this flight. And I mean, not so much it's a big thing, but I'm like, I feel like the Most High allowed us to get on that plane He allowed me to experience the good, and he allowed me to experience the rockiness. But in all of it, I believe the overall message was through the good and through the bad, the Most High does have us. He definitely has us. So I was grateful because I said, at first I was like, why turbulence? But I was like, no, I'm grateful I got to experience that turbulence because I've in life, it's not going to always be smooth sailing. And I really looked at that as a message for me personally, that through everything, keep my trust in the Most High. So I was so grateful for that experience. I was excited and I was just grateful. And I want to say that I'm definitely grateful for our Beulah community, Beulah family. It's I would encourage everyone, if you're by yourself, to court a community, be a part of a community, not just for the benefits and all that, but because it is a beautiful thing to have community family and people that you can rely on and people that can rely on you and people that can trust you and people that you can trust. It is not a good thing to be out here and do this on your own. And I'm just grateful. I do want to say this because I'm grateful for the small things, I would say. And my spiritual mother, Princess Medaya, she got me a juicer. And I've been just using my juicer. And I just get excited when I juice. I don't know. It's just something that I feel like is a blessing because everything that we do for our bodies, for the healthy benefits of it, it benefits us, from eating fruit raw to juicing it. And I'm just grateful for that. Like, I find a lot of pleasure and excitement in the small things. So I do want to say that I'm grateful for that and just grateful for everything the Most High has in store for us as people. And I know that if we continue to trust in him and be grateful for those small things, he will continue to bless us because that's the type of power he is. All right. Zehu. Shalom, shalom, lekalam.
May the Most High be praised. Sis, you touched on some stuff. You touched on a whole lot of stuff. And one of those things was trust. Something that we take lightly in our nation today, trust. You know, because we give it to people who really hasn't earned it. You know, somebody make you feel good. You just meet them, y'all chilling, or they might help you out in a little situation. And automatically you open up your heart and you give them what you call trust. But in my opinion, trust is something that must be earned. Because a lot of shenanigans and charlatans and people who really don't care much about you, for real, will cause you to open up and give your all. And if you're a good person, you know how we good people, you know, we do. We go all out and beyond to help others. And if you happen to fall in that category, and I know quite a few of you here that are just like that, you go all out and beyond to help people. A lot of people will pick up on your goodness and deceive you and make you think you can trust them and not be worthy of that trust. You sparked a lot in my mind just now, sis. I'm going to tell you a short story about an Israelite who was in a position of leadership, who moved here to Philadelphia. And he come talking to Prince, and you know, we had a place for him to live in. So he had a whole bunch of children, and we put him up in the place. He stayed there with all his children, tore our place up. Tore it up. I mean, crayons all on the board, on the back of the board. We had white beds in there, white bed frame. The whole bed set was white. Crayons all over, markers, They broke the teapot. How do you break a teapot? They broke the teapot. Not only that, the brother agreed that he would cover the utility bills. The electric bill was basically what it was. $600 electric bill he left owing. $2,000 something in rent. And since that was 2 years ago, to the day, he hasn't made right what he's done. But if somebody else was in need, we would have to do it all over again. Not him, but somebody else, because that's what this is about. You have to, you got to help people when you're able to help people, but trust is a different level. You do what you do for people because you know that's what you're supposed to do. You're required to do these things. We talk about brothers and sisters. We talk Israel. It's supposed to be our family. But a lot of people don't believe that. But when you touch on trust, trust goes beyond what you give to the average person. You don't give the average person trust. They earn it. And it takes a lot to earn trust. You done started me with a whole new class. Let me go on, because I was ready to take that somewhere else, but I'm gonna leave it alone. But it's just show you how people do when you extend a portion of trust to them. If it's not the right soul, they'll tear it up. And everybody knows that Israel's a good, kind-hearted people. Everybody knows that. Even back in the biblical days, they knew that. And they knew that the Israelites was kind-hearted people, so they would go to the Israelites for certain things, and the Israelites will come through, and they took advantage of Israel. So again, when you talk about trust, that has to be earned, because a lot of people will use and abuse you and then come back later on and act like you did something wrong to them, all because you trusted them. So we got to be careful how we do, fam. Thank you very much. That was a very good point. And you done sparked my mind racing, but I got to realize where we at, and this ain't the time for everything, so I'm going to let it go. May the Most High be praised. To everybody. Anyone else? Anyone else like to thank the Most High at this time? Ishi, did you want to thank the Creator?
Okay, and shalom, everybody. Sorry for my tardiness. I had some technical difficulties. Yeah, the Creator is awesome, as He always is and always will be. My week was wonderful. I spent time with my family in Ohio for a few days. My husband had the strength to take us all the way from Ohio to Georgia to Virginia, and then back to Philly, which was crazy. That was like over 24 hours total of driving. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful he had the strength to do that for us and keep us safe on the road, because that's crazy. But my week was great. I haven't seen my family in Ohio for like since like August. And for me, that's a long time, right? That's a long time for me. I'm used to seeing my family every single day. But we adjust as we get married, and I think it was just the time to go see him, as my husband agreed. So I went to go see him, and my mom is doing better. She can talk. As I told everyone last time, she's dealing with shingles. She still is dealing with it. Like, the left side of her face is still paralyzed, but it is much better than the last time I saw her. And when she talks, you can see it. It's pronounced, right? Like, you can actually see it. But if she's just kind of just sitting there, you can't really tell. And I remember when she first got diagnosed in like September, maybe like late August, September, something like that. It was really, really bad, like bumps all over her face, like when it was really, really pronounced. So she's definitely healing. It's just taking a really long time. And the doctor said to her that it could take up to a year for, I guess, the swelling and the healing of her nerves that have been attacked to kind of heal and go away. So hopefully that will subside in the Most High's timing. Of course, I know that everybody has to go through stuff, and as far as I know, this is the first real struggle I've seen my mom go through. If she went through anything when I was a child, she definitely did a great job of hiding it from me, which is fine. That I'd stay in a child's place, but this is the first battle I've actually seen her go through. So maybe this is just the Most High's way of like reaching out to her in some form of capacity. I have no idea. I just pray that she's kept throughout this whole thing. And it was wonderful because I got to see my sister and my brother and, just my immediate family. It was really, really nice. And I got some really, really sentimental gifts. That was really nice. And it was a really great trip. I loved it. So all praises for that. And it actually felt like a week. It was only about 3 days, but it felt like a really long time because of how long we were driving. But I'm grateful that we were able to at least go there and see my dad and everything. So it was really beautiful. Shalom.
May the Most High be praised. May the Most High be praised. I have to go on record and say that's the longest I ever drove in my life. Well, I got close to that when I drove to Texas once. Rosh, how long was that trip for you to Texas? It took me 30 hours. How long did it take you?
12.
Okay, so 12 hours from Georgia.
Yeah, we drove straight there. Yeah.
So add a 13 to that coming from Philly. So I
Mm.
drove from Philly to Texas, and it took me almost 30 hours, I believe, to do so. It was a long time ago, though. But other than that, what we did yesterday was the longest drive we ever did. We came from Ohio down to Georgia, from Georgia to Virginia, from Virginia back to Philly. And guess what? The Most High protected us through it all. Thank the Most High for it. Thank the Most High for it. But it was good to see my wife with her family. You know, they sit around, do a little girly thing. They happen to pull out, yeah, you just got to watch. I like to see family enjoy family. They do a little girly thing where they sat around their mother, and she pulled out this plastic container with hats and socks and onesies from when they was little babies.
Are you gonna just go ahead and say it?
What? Say what?
Expose what I've been hiding.
I don't know. Maybe you know something I don't know. Huh? Yeah, I was just talking about the unity, the bonding with the family and the daughters, the mothers and the daughters. It's a powerful thing to watch. You know, it's a beautiful thing. But the fact that the mother held on to those things for 27, 28 years, to be able to pull them out today, and then she had a picture book with Autumn on pictures when she was a little baby, little baby. A lot of us don't have things like that. We don't have that richness. I know I don't. Well, with my children, we got it now. But back when I was little, ain't nothing existing about me when I was a little infant. Not that I know of, unless my mom got stuff she can hide. But it's just good to see our families of color, our Hebrew families, enriched in family values and love and just can share those valuable moments. I recorded it too. They didn't know I was recording it. I was so enthused. I pushed the record button, held the phone on my lap like this, and just recorded some of the situation because I enjoy watching it. It touches my heart. And just like when I'm around my other wife, Princess's family, the things that those families do, it doesn't happen in my family with my family. So when you get to experience it, you have to embrace it when it comes. And I enjoy those things, both of them. Their families is just like great, you know? The things that they would do to sacrifice for each other, to me, is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So I thank the Most High actually for the both of them, you know, the upkeep that they've come, that they've lived, that they've experienced. So I can relate to what you're saying. May the Most High be praised. Toda Rabbah, Toda Rabbah.
We have some comments of what people are thankful for. I'm going to read it off, if that's all right. Want to make sure I get everybody. Okay. So the first one that we have is Prime Minister Moshe. He says, Todah Yahweh for Shabbat, for life, for Torah, and for laws. Then we have, I'll make sure I show it as I read it. Then we have Brittany Wade, the better Brittany Wade. And it says, I'm thankful for the people I have in my life, currently for safe travels as I've been on an 8-day cruise. Lucky you. Some days a bit rocky. Not only the trip, I'm with my sister whom I met just last year.
That your biological sister, Sister Brittany, that you just met, or is it just a new sister that you met last year?
Then she continues with it. I'll read back Prime Minister Moshe right after this. She says, she treated me to this trip, so the bond building times for a lifetime of lost times.
That must be a biological sister. That's a blessing, man.
Okay. Prime Minister Moshe comes back on. He says, Torah Yafa Beulah land. Torah Yafa Beulah land.
All right, bro.
Zakena Sakuri Finley. Grateful for the changes in life and the ability to work on behalf of my elders.
Beautiful. May the Most High be praised, family.
And Zakena Tusilia says, all praises to the Most High Creator for life, health, and all of my Beulah family. We getting some love, huh?
Yeah. May the Most High be praised.
And then Prime Minister Moshe said, Tafila Haderech. Prayers is the way, I'm assuming. Right?
The way of praise.
Mm-hmm. And then we have two more. Prime Minister Moshe says, memories never let you forget. Must have been a sight to behold. And the Facebook user, I'm not sure who this is, but it says, thanks to my family near and far. Moving here to Georgia, my family at Beulah Land and Goshen has given me comfort. So it must be someone. Okay, my Isha is going to check. All right, that is it. Is that who?
All right, Total Rabah. Rosh, you wanted to thank the Creator?
Okay. So I'll go ahead. I first want to give honor and praise to the Most High Power, the Eternal Power, the Creator. I'm grateful for another day of life, for my Isha, having another day of life, for him keeping us protected without any harm, hurt, or danger, not allowing us to hear any bad reports in regards to our family in Illinois and also our family in South Carolina and whoever else might be family to us that by blood that we don't know, and also covering our Beulah family, each and every day, those that are on the land and those that are not on the land. And I also want to just give honor to Prince. I had a situation with my car, and it's really put me in a tough place. And this is kind of what inspired the lesson that I'm about to bring forth. That's why you all see that big picture of brotherhood. I was the reason that Prince and Geber Autumn had to take that trip down here to Georgia. But what he did, it's a lot of people that speak on brotherhood a lot. It's a lot of people that speak it and they do their actions. I'm not going to take away from what people do and what they feel they need to do as far as brotherhood, because everyone has their own understanding of what it is. But to me, what the brotherhood in which Prince demonstrated was dropping. I didn't even know he was coming here, but he came all the way from, they said, Ohio, just to help me get in my car so I can put my battery in my car. And then he left 10 minutes later, back on a trip out to Virginia, I think it was, you all said, and then back to Philadelphia. Mind you, this isn't the first time he's done this. He's came down here. I think he drove the last time when we had a situation with some of our campers and lost, potentially lost or might have lost some clientele, some work, and we ain't gonna go into the funds, but lost that and came down here and showed the love for his community and that brotherhood that he displays, So I'm just thankful for the brother within Prince. And this lesson also showed me, because I'm big on titles, right? So I always say someone's title. I always say as I can, but this lesson showed me something different too. So I'm thankful for Ha'achshali or Achi Prince for doing what he did, because I haven't seen anyone do what he has done since I've been around him. And if that doesn't hit home with a lot of you all, that's giving us a level of how far, sisterhood or brotherhood actually is, to drop what you're doing, to come miles and miles away for 10 minutes and to go back in that direction. That's a different level. And I think if we can get to that point, we'll be better off. So I'm thankful for Prince and what he did and what he displayed and demonstrates as a leader within Yisrael, spiritual leader within Beulah land, and leader in general, and brother.
May the Most High be praised. Where that guy at? I'm glad he around somewhere. Whatever, we need them kind of people. Where that brother at? Yo, bro, I need some help. No, but look, this is how it is, bro. We got to look out for each other. This is all we got. We only got ourselves. Now, we did reach out. So he ain't give y'all the full story. I ain't just, he locked out the car. I just get up and go. It didn't happen that way. This is what took place. His car, he couldn't get in his car. The battery was dead. We called AAA. He called AAA. They didn't show up. The next day, I called my AAA. And I got the platinum joint. They didn't show up. So when they didn't show up, I said, you know what, bro? I got it. I got some brothers down there that we could call and see if we can get them to come and help. Both of them brothers, we called both of them. What I'm saying, he on the plane. He won't be here for a couple of hours. He getting on the plane. He was in New York. He'll be here in a couple of hours. When he called, I was in Virginia. I had already left. That was the day after. I called him the day before. The other brother, we had him on a different assignment, but he couldn't do what it was that was asked of him because the store was closed. So he couldn't do it. So then when we were stuck and AAA wasn't responding, and this was their turkey day, remember? This was their turkey day. So everybody was shutting down for 4 days straight. We couldn't get no help. And when you have exhausted everything you know to do, what's the next best thing to do? Do it yourself.
Do it yourself.
So we did it. Rosh and myself, we got out there, we figured that thing out, and we made it happen. And I'm thankful. I'm glad to be of service. When you get good people in your midst, like the brother, you gotta do all you can do to show that brother that it's reciprocated. Because he does what he does, and he goes all over and beyond. So if you're the only one going over and beyond and you're not receiving, how you feel in that type of situation? You don't feel right. You feel like you're being used. You feel like you're being abused. So therefore, all I can do is reciprocate the same energy that the brother gives. And that's what brotherhood is about. Brotherhood is being better to your brother than you are to yourself. And I use the word better to your brother than you are to yourself. And I didn't make a mistake with that. And I meant it. You got to be better to your sister than you are to yourself. That's the lack of selfishness. When you call somebody brother, you call somebody sister, it goes deep. Deep, deep, deep. And you have to live up to that. So my brother was in need. And I had to do what I had to do to get it done. And that's what I did. I tried other sources that was close to him. They all failed. So the next thing I know to do is do it myself. And we came down there, we played with it, and we figured his car was completely dead. No battery juice, no doors open, no windows, nothing. So we put our minds together, and we figured out how to get it done. We got it done, and now I can go. And babe, I apologize, Ima, because I had the bag of dog food in the back of the car, in the back of my truck. I could have pulled that bag of dog food out and left it there because I forgot. So my apologies. But bro, that's what it's about. And that's how we have to begin to live. We got to make those sacrifices for each other. May the Most High be praised. Oh, I guess it's my turn, right? I'm thankful to the Most High for health, for strength, for life, for family, you know, my immediate family, my extended family, for all those who really, really have me in their heart for good. Thank the Creator for that. And I thank the Most High for, we traveled many distances. That was, I think getting to Georgia was 500 and something miles. First we went to Ohio, that was 500 and something. Went to Georgia, 500 and something. Back to Virginia, 300 and something. No, it took us 7 hours to get there, so it was longer than that. And then back to Philadelphia. And through all of that, we didn't get no tickets. We didn't get stopped by the police. We didn't get no car accidents. Nothing happened. Now, a lot of times, I know a lot of you travel like that constantly and normally, and you think it's just what you do. But there are a lot of people who are not here today that traveled constantly, normally on the roads, and they lost their lives by someone else's error or non-responsible driving. But the Most High brought us through. The Most High protected us. The Most High allowed us to make it safely over those thousands of miles. I think we had like 3,600 on the vehicle when we started, and now we almost at 6,000. So that's how far we drove. And I'm thankful. May the Most High be praised. He spared our lives. You know, because when we got in Ohio, we drove around a little bit. We did some stuff. So we put some extra miles on the car. But it don't matter. The important thing is that we made it all. We made it safely. The Creator preserved us. I got to see my family, you know, and those things was a blessing. But that wasn't what we set out to do. And we didn't get to do everything that we set out to do because this was a turkey week. So a lot of things were shut down. But the Most High, who was the ultimate planner, he knew exactly what he was going to have us to do. We didn't know, but he did. So may the Most High be praised. Believe me. And bro, I want you to know, man. I want you to know this. But it ain't like a lot of people like you, man. It's not a lot of people out there that move with the consistency, with the diligence, with the loyalty, the honorability. There's not a lot of brothers or males like you, or men like you. You're unique. So I'm grateful and thankful that we can embrace each other and work together and walk together and do what we do. So may that type of personality rub off on a whole lot more brothers, and we can really call each other brothers like it's supposed to be. So may the Most High be praised. Toda Rabbah.
Shabbat Shalom. Before we continue, I did want to read the sister, it's a family, they're called the Shavanya Show. And they said, Shabbat Shalom, we are thankful for the Hebrew homeschool visit. We are still in Georgia and are just grateful for the fellowship with our brethren. And I wanted to read their comment because I met them over the last 2 days at what they just mentioned, the Hebrew Homeschool Convention. It was a convention for all homeschools, whether you're a private school, but all Hebrews who have homeschools. And people were there from all over, from Texas, New York, Georgia, of course, Alabama, Florida, just different states. And it was just a beautiful exchange to meet so many new Israelites. Like, I could say, honestly, I didn't know anybody there except for 2 people whose children go to our school, 2 families rather, whose children attend our school. So it was a pleasure to just meet so many people. But this particular family, it's a husband and wife. They write Hebrew books, and then their children also have written some books, and I purchased a few for the school. And if you go on YouTube and look up the Aleph Bet song, that's the family that sings that song. And it was just powerful to meet them and see them perform, and just they all speak fluent Hebrew, just their love for the Creator. And, you know, me and their mother, Sister Ishur, we talked, like, we had some great conversations and were able to just build and bond, you know, as women, as mothers, and especially in this Hebrew walk. So I'm glad they took the invitation and decided to join us today. I'm not sure if they're still here, but thankful to the Creator for allowing them to, visit with us today. And most high willing, we'll be able to, continue to bond and build these relationships as we move forward.
If you contact them again, see if they got any advertisement that we can post up to help them to grow and get bigger and stronger at what they're doing.
Kane.
That would be great. Now, was I correct? Did I see Moray Dawood over there? I thought I saw a picture with Moray Dawood over there.
At the Hebrew Convention?
Yes.
Kane, he was there, him and his wife and family. It was a few families from Texas, and they were one of them. And he taught a lesson of their homeschool. Well, he did a presentation rather on their homeschool and different things. So I actually spoke with his wife in length, and we exchanged information. So we're going to do some collaborations as well.
I want to, while we have the opportunity, I want to speak on that, brother, for a minute. I had some guys down on Beulah land working on Beulah land, building up the Knesset, building the temple up for us. And when they finished, they left us and they drove back, and their car broke down in Virginia. And the only one that I knew that lived in Virginia was Moray Samak and Moray Dawood. So I called both of those brothers and another brother, Yahadatan. I called all three of them for assistance because at the time I was in Georgia. I said, yo, shalom, shalom. This is the situation. This is where I'm at. And Brother Dawood called and put me in touch. This is what I'm talking about. This is how we got to begin to move as a family. He called, took his time, called me back. But prior to calling me back, what he had was reached out to all these different companies to try to get somebody to tow the people that I told him I needed assistance with. He made it happen. Whereas a lot of people just tell you, no, bro, I ain't got it. I don't know nobody. I can't help you. And they supposed to be in his Israelite walk. But Brother Dawood, Dawood is just Moray Dawood. He went over and beyond at that particular time to go out of his way. And it was late. It was late. If I'm not mistaken, it was late. But he went over and beyond out of his way. And I'm going to blow him up because things like this needs to be known through the nation. Because you don't got a lot of people that go out of the way to do things for you, especially in the late hours. But he did. He came through. I was thankful. I appreciated it. And if he ever needs and he lets me know and I'm able to help him, it's done. I was a little upset because he came to Philadelphia one day and slept in his car and never told me that he was here and that he needed a place to stay. All he needed to do was reach out. So this is what I'm saying to y'all, family. If you got people who are supposed to be Hebrew, supposed to walk this life, live this life, and you go into their city and you're in need, reach out to them. Call them and say, yo, I need this. Can you help me? And that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to look out for each other. If that brother had to sleep on my couch, then so be it. But to sleep in a car and in my city, that made me feel bad that he had to sleep in a car. But if I'd have known he was here, it wouldn't have happened. Not that way. So we got to begin to be this way, family. That's the way we got to be with each other. May the Most High be praised. Total Rabbah. But it was good that y'all had that event, and it was good that we were able to show our face in that place.
Yes.
Beautiful thing.
Can also say I forgot my sister Sharon was there too with her family. I didn't.
Whoa!
It was beautiful seeing her and the children. It was really a great event. And then I would just say Thursday, the last day, they had like a formal dinner where they had a sister actually do a presentation on etiquette prior to actually having dinner, which was like it was it was a beautiful dinner. Like they, for everybody who eats meat, they had lamb, then they had fish, then they had vegan options, and then they had soup. So it was really beautiful. But like, it was just beautiful to see so many different Israelites come together. And then for the formal dinner, it was so beautiful to see all the children dressed up. It reminded me of when we did our Purim ball. And so it just like gave a lot of just inspiration for what we should be doing and with one another. And it wasn't about whether someone was Torah based or Messianic. It was just all about us being who we are supposed to be, children of the Creator, being a light to other nations and to each other, and just being brothers and sisters. And it even came to the point where, like, when dinner was ready to serve, they only had 2 helpers, and myself, Alexis, and a couple of other sisters got up and volunteered to help. And they were like, "Oh no, like, y'all don't have," I was like, "No, this is what we do. This is sisterhood." And so we helped them to serve so we can, feed the people faster, because everybody was hungry. It was delayed, quite a bit. But so once the food got there, though, we started just helping, because if we just sat there, it was like, I felt like weird just sitting there seeing people going through struggling. So it was just a beautiful experience. And I believe we bonded more in just that aspect of helping one another, and then not just sitting back, because a lot of times you go to these events and people just sit back and talk about you or say the negative about it. But, it was something, I felt great that we were able to get up and assist, and that they welcomed our assistance. So it was beautiful. And it was held in an Israelite owned convention center, kind of like, it was like, well, it's like a building, but it was beautiful. The whole process was beautiful.
Now, that's important, that it was held in an Israelite-owned establishment. And I'm going to tell you why that's important, because I talk about this all the time. We don't utilize our own resources enough. What we'll do is we'll have Unity Shabbat, and we give other people all of our money. Hotels, we give all other people all that money. The Israelite community makes very little money available to other Israelite opportunists. What I mean is, if an Israelite has a company or organization, a hotel, an apartment building, we would rather give our monies to somebody else than to support our own people. Think about it for a second. We've been going to Unity Shabbat throughout America for a long time. I mean, many years. And we've been to many Unity Shabbat where there was over 500 people at the event. All the surrounding hotels got all that money from 3 nights from over 500 people. The white man got rich. And I don't mean white, because a lot of white guys are good to us. They help out, all that good stuff. What I mean is, they making all the money. And that money could have been saved if we would have thought. Think about this for a second. We got 110 acres of land. 110 acres of land. We don't have a building large enough to house all those people. But let's just think, if we had an event and everybody slept in tents on the land, do you know how powerful that would be? Even if we had 300 people sleeping in tents for just 2 days on the land to attend a spiritual event. First of all, you're connecting with nature. You're connecting with nature. That's a very important thing. I just watched a video today, and Rosh, I'm watching me clock. I just watched a video today where a brother in Ghana was healing people with no shoes on. He got people walking around in his compound with no shoes on, and they're doing natural things, and they're being healed. And the government want to come and try to shut him down because he's not using their medicine to cure these people of these diseases and sicknesses. Part of the problem is because we don't get back to nature. But we'll go stay in a hotel quick. But an Israelite event that we can have and invite all the people and be out in the open, in the wilderness. how our forefathers lived, we shun those type of things. And we shouldn't. We need to come back to nature. It's an essential part of our health, an essential part of our makeup and who we are as a people. But we rather be up in these concrete houses, concrete jungles, and enjoy life with people and, the glamorous life. But one day it will be nice to see our people share their money, their resources, their finances with their own people. I think that the wealth in the Jewish community circulates like 60 times in their community. In the Indian community, it's like 80 times. In the European community, it's about 90 times. In the Black communities, it's less than five. Less than five times. Less than five in our own communities. And it's not that we don't have establishments established, because we do. But what we don't do is we don't share with each other. We don't support one another. So, Ima, to hear you say how is a Black Israelite facility, that's a beautiful thing. May the Most High be praised. And we need to learn where to put our monies at when we have these big events. May the Most High be praised. Toda Rabbah.
So there. Are we going into the next segment? Amona?
I want to say one thing before we start. The Shavania show, I use that for my Hebrew class. So every time we start Hebrew class, we listen to the alphabet. Either we use the Shavania show or we use this slower version. But the Yeladim, I give them an option to choose. They always want to choose the Shavania show. So I do use that with teaching, and I just thought it was awesome that you got a chance to meet them, and awesome that they were on the channel to listen in. So shalom, shalom.
No. The question: what Hebrew class are you talking about?
Hebrew class for GHA. Our Hebrew school that we have is a private school, and I teach one of the extra classes. And I teach Hebrew.
You see what I mean, family?
I can't hear.
I said, family, see what I mean? We're not just talking about it, we being about it. We actually doing what we know we're supposed to be doing in this day and time. She teaches at a all Black Hebrew Israelite school, GHA. She teaches. Ain't that nice? That's what I'm talking about. May the Most High be praised. Toda Rabbah. All right. Then we got some other stuff we need to post before we go into our lesson of the day. That's right. We thankful that you made it available for us to be able to utilize. All right. May the Most High be praised. All right. All right, family. Get your notebooks, your pens, your paper, and your pads out. Rosh is about to bring us forth a lesson. So go out and send out invites to everybody. And if you're in the YouTube room, you might want to subscribe, click that like button so we can get the ratings up, so that we do all that stuff. We ain't making no money, but it is what it is. At least the people will become visible to more people, and people will be able to tune in and learn some great things. So be in store, family, because you're getting ready to get a whole earful right now. May the Most High be praised. Toda Rabbah. Rosh, you got the floor, bro. Do what you do.
בסדר, שלום לכולם. אני מתפלל שכל טוב איתכם היום. I pray all is well with you all today. ראשית, אני רוצה לתת כבוד ושבח First, I want to give honor and praise to the Most High Power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I am truly excited for what we got to talk about today. I think that this is the foundation of a lot of things. You know that I like to bring out, first of all, I am the founder of Bayeeth Ma'azahn. I want to give honor to Chief Prince Evelyn Belekia, my mentor, Morris Shalim, my chief elder, and I want to give honor to Prince, who is a spiritual leader here at Temple Kifarim. I do reside on Beulah land, and you all are going to hear that a lot as we have had some people here say good things about Beulah land, which we all appreciate. But I reside here with me and my Isha on Beulah land here in Sparta, Georgia. And a lot of things that we teach about here, Bayeeth Ma'azahn, Temple Kifarim, here at Beulah land, is community, because community is the foundation of our Torah, right? The Most High gave us these laws, right? These instructions, Torah, for us to live and learn how to build with one another, how to get along with one another, how to grow, right, with one another. So a lot of the things that we bring out is more, we try to make it more relatable for today. We're going to go through the scripture, of course, but we try to make it very relatable with today. So I want to start us. We're going to go into a better sheet, which is Genesis. All right. And we're going to start in chapter 11. Before we get started, I was only going to have us go through 4 chapters. I have about an hour and a half, so I'm going to really try to bring out as much as I can. But I had to start back to chapter 11 to give some context, because I'm sure there's going to be some questions. And I pray that the Most High allows me to bring something out that either you don't know, or something that allows you to be more solidified in your understanding as it relates to today. So we're going to start with Genesis, Bereshit, chapter 11. And we're going to start at 27. I'm going to bring up share the screen for those that may or may not have their here we are, right here. So today's lesson, and please, those that's listening here on the platform, or that's within the what am I trying to say? Here on StreamYard, let me know if I'm breaking up, because I want the signal, I want it to be heard. The brotherhood is really the basis of this. We hear a lot of people talking about sisterhood, right? Which me, and I know that Prince, we encourage it. But I want to talk to the women and the men that's listening now. I think that brotherhood is extremely important, because think about it. There's a lot of sisterhood going along within our community, and some within the so-called Black community. I say some because it's a back and forth men and women war within the so-called Black community. But the foundation of any ethnic group is both man and woman, right? But if that brotherhood is not there, that community cannot thrive. Let me say that again. If that brotherhood is not there, that community cannot thrive. Individuality can thrive, men and women. We could thrive individually, but as a community, as a nation, as a people, we aren't thriving, because that brotherhood on a large scale is not there. We might see glimpses of these things, but we're not seeing on a large scale. Even if we go into like religion, Islam, the Jewish community, you heard Prince bring up, they have a brotherhood present. That's why their religion thrives more. It's other elements to that, but I want to bring that out. Okay, so let's start at Bereshit, Genesis chapter 11, and we're going to start at 27. I wanted to go into the story of Abraham because we have the first thing that people think about when they think of the Torah or the Tanakh is Jonathan and David, or Yohanathan and Dawud or Dawid, right? Which that is what we see a lot. I want to start with Abraham. I think it started before that. And that's what we're going to start here. Verse 27, it says, hopefully everyone is present. Better sheet, 11 and 27. Now these are the generations of Terak, or Terah, you might hear it being said. Terak begot Abraham, or Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran begot Lot. You might hear people say Lot. You're going to hear me say Lot. All right. And Haran died before his father, Terah. Give me a second. Let me get my mouse. 1 second. There we go. All right. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in Ur-Kasdim. And Abram and Nahor took wives for themselves. The name of Abram's wife was Sarah, and the name of Nahor's wife Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Yiscah. Okay, before we go down, pay attention to 27 really quick, right? It says that Terak begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran begot Lot or Lot. So we see that Lot is a nephew of what we call now Abraham. Keep that in mind. That's his nephew. Okay, let's go back down to 30. But Sarai was barren. She had no child. And Terak took Abraham his son, and Lot, the son of Haran, his son's son, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, his son, Abraham's wife, and they went out with them from Ur-Kasdim to go into the land of Canaan. And they came to Haran and dwelt there. And the days of Terak or Terah were 205 years, and Terak died in Haran. I only went to chapter 11 so we could get an understanding what or who Lot or Lot was. All right. So we want to get the understanding, the history behind that. Chapter 12. Any questions before we go forward? Any questions? You know, we want to bring forth questions while we're teaching. Or allow it. All right. So Nahor married his niece. Was that a question? Okay. And it's funny that you brought out marrying niece, because it's something we're going to bring out with Abraham, right? Or Abraham. So hold that for 1 second. All right. Also, once we saw that Abraham came from a place, a family. It was something that was happening before this too. So keep that in mind. All right. Verse 1, chapter 12. Now the Most High said to Abraham, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house to the land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless you, and curse him that curses you. Keep that in mind. And in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. So we see right here, the Most High is telling him to leave your country. So by that being present, that being said in our scripture, we understand it was something that Abraham was accustomed to. It was something he was accustomed to prior to listening to the Most High, being directed to the Most High, right? And also, as we're going to see, following the Most High. All right. Verse 4. So Abraham departed as the Most High had spoken to him, and Lot went with him, right? His nephew went with him. And Abraham was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. So keep note, he went with Abraham, right? Lot went with him. So during this journey, it was a journey that Lot was inheriting or learning as well. Keep that in mind. And Abraham took Sarai, his wife, and Lot, his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had acquired in Haran. And they went forth to go to the land of Canaan or Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. And Abraham passed through the land to the place of Shechem unto the terebinth of Moreh, and the Canaanite was then in the land. Verse 7. And the Most High appeared to Abraham and said, to thy seed will I give this land. And there he built an altar to the Most High who had appeared to him. Right, so we see when the Most High is appearing to Abraham, right, during this journey, he's dedicating this moment in time, a place for the Most High, right, which is a part of his journey. An example of this is this land was acquired through Beulah land was acquired, through Prince, right, and this land has been dedicated to the Most High. Before anybody came on this land, correct me if I'm wrong, Prince and Princess, Prince dedicated this land to the Most High, which means we have to operate a certain way. Dedicated the Mishkan or the Knesset to the Most High, which means we have to operate a certain way. That's very important. Anytime we are dedicating something to the Most High, it's a certain way you have to move. Now, you can't move the same way that you've been moving. That is if you believe in our literature. That is if you believe you are Yisrael. But even if you don't believe that you're Yisrael, if you are taking on the ways of the Most High, which is within our literature, within the Tanakh, in any capacity, if you are dedicating something to the Most High, you have to move a certain way. And we're going to see that with Abraham. So he built this altar to the Most High who had appeared to him. Verse 8. And he removed from there to a mountain on the east of Bethel and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. And there he built an altar to the Most High and called upon the name of the Most High. You know what's interesting about this? Each journey, each place he's going, he's leaving a mark of the Most High there. Each place that he's going, he's leaving a mark of the Most High and himself there. I would argue that this is what we get a lot of people creating different Mishkan Knesses in different areas or different cities, right? A part of their organization. Like a sister on here, I believe, asked, do we have something in Florida? I don't know if you saw that, Prince. Do we have an organization in Florida? But I just wanted to bring it out. Notice where he's going. Each place that he's going, he's leaving his mark there and showing the Most High's presence there, right? Verse 9, and Abraham journeyed, going on still toward Negev, and there was a famine in the land. And Abraham went down to Mizraim or Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was severe in the land. And it came to pass, when he was come near into Mizraim or Egypt, that he said to Sarai his wife, behold now, I know that you art a fair woman to look upon. So she was a beautiful woman. Now, mind you, she was in her 60s somewhere. So-called black don't crack, y'all. We look at every other ethnicity. They always say we age well. He's saying his wife is extremely beautiful. Some will say, okay, well, that's just in his mind. But no, as we read, we're going to see other people thought she was beautiful, and she was in her 60s. Somewhere around there. Correct me if I'm wrong, Prince. Around this, in her 60s, right? She wasn't 50, she wasn't 40, she was older. I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. 12. Therefore, it shall come to pass when Mizraim, right, shall see thee, that they shall say, this is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will save thee alive, right? That's what he was worried about. That's what he was afraid of, that as they're passing through, they're not a part of this land. They're not a part of this people, that these individuals are going to see her and be like, okay, let's get rid of him. Let's take this beautiful woman. So he told her to say, you are my sister. Some will teach that he lied. But it was something that the text didn't bring out. In chapter 11, we saw what took place with Tarak, right? And what Abraham came from, what Sarai came from, in a sense. But it didn't tell her parents, right? But we want to see that. We're actually not going to read it now. I think it's in Bereshit chapter 20. In a similar situation, Abraham basically told the individual, I can't think his name right now, that this was also my sister from my father.
Wasn't it Abimelech?
Say that again, Prince.
I believe it was Abimelech.
Cain, Torah. My name history, be going somewhere else sometimes. But he had to let him know this is also my sister, right? But this is not from my mother. This is from my father. So it doesn't share that in this particular subject. So I wanted to give that history for those that might not know. So he said, this is my wife, verse 12, and they will kill me, but they will save thee alive. Verse 13, say, I pray thee, thou art my sister. So he's begging her, praying for, can you please tell him you're my sister, that it may be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of you, because of thee. Verse 14, and it came to pass that when Abraham was come to Mizraim, the Mizraim beheld the woman that she was very fair, very beautiful. Now remember, she's older in age. The princess also of Paro or Pharaoh saw her and commended her before Paro. And the woman was taken into Paro's house. And he treated Abraham well for her sake. And he had sheep and oxen, and he had asses and men servants and maid servants, and she asses and camels. 17. And the Most High plagued Paro and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abraham's wife. Right? So this said because of Sarai. Now, school of thought might go back into what we was reading when to talk about what the Most High was going to do for those that bless him and those that curse him. But this is talking about for Sarai. Now, my school of thought is Sarah was a wise and or righteous woman, virtuous woman. So for the sake of Sarai, the Most High plagued Paro, right? That's one way of looking at it. But I want to keep going. It doesn't say that Paro slept with his wife. You may have school of thoughts that teach that, and I'm not against that. But it doesn't say he slept with Paro's wife at this point, right? But he brought her into his house. So I thought that was interesting. If there's any questions about that after this chapter, we could dive into that. And any comments. Verse 18. And Paro called Abraham and said, what is this that thou hast done to me? Why didst thou not tell me that she was thy wife? Verse 19, why didst thou say she is my sister, so I might have taken her to me to wife? Now therefore, behold thy wife, take her and go thy way. All right. So some will say that he lied, but he did not lie. This was his wife, and it also was his sister. Some will say, okay, he did a small lie, a white lie, is still a lie. He's still righteous. He still did things, obedient things towards the Most High, what the Most High put in place. I have a school of thought to where you should not lie to your brother in the Most High or sister in the Most High. It was some teachings I brought out before to where, like, if somebody was coming into your house to rob you, to harm you, to steal something, and your mother, not your mother or your children or your wife was upstairs, and they said, is anyone here? Right? And you're a Torah observant, and you said no. Were you unrighteous for saying that? Or were you saving your wife, your mother, your children, whoever's in your home? So I have a different approach when it comes to what's lying in regards to that and in regards to the Torah. That isn't to say that you lie to everyone that's not a part of your community or your people, but just be smart. and wise in dealing with other people. All right, verse 20, it says, and Paro commanded his men concerning him, and they sent him away, and his wife, and all that he had. All right, is there any thoughts, comments, or questions about that chapter in particular? Any questions? Oh, okay, so she said Abraham married his sister. I don't know if you posted this already. The Bear Autumn said that he married his sister. I thought Sarah was his cousin. So according to Abraham, and that's in a later chapter, we won't hit that chapter today. This was his sister from his father. So we would call that half sister, I guess, of today. Just so you all just answer your question there.
Do you mean that they had different mothers?
They had different mothers, according to Abraham.
Because some people say half. Well, in today's language, I think some people say half is like different fathers, same mother. But if you're from the same father, from the same stock, that's still one.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it just depends on what you think. Because I have a stepbrother and a stepsister, different fathers, but same mother. So I call them I was taught half in that way. But if I had, if my father had more children by a different mother, that would be like my direct blood, basically. That's what I was taught. So I was confused on it.
Okay. Well, we do know one thing. Scripture says it's his sister. So we can agree on that. So it was his sister from his father, according to Abraham. Is there any more questions? I see Prime Minister Moshe said that's law. I'm not sure what he commented on that part. I don't know if you all saw when he commented that. And then Gaber Aisha said, sounds like he made a sacrifice to save his life. All right, let's keep going. Any comments on anything that anyone shared? Anyone said? Anybody have any comments? To those that left a comment in regards to what I've been speaking on so far? Anybody on the panel? All right, let's continue. So we're going to chapter 13 right now. Chapter 13. And it says, and Abraham went up out of Mitzrayim, he and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him into the Negev. And Abraham was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. And he went on his journeys from the Negev even to Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, to the place of the altar which he had made there at the first. And there Abraham called on the name of the Most High. We're seeing an instance to where when he's calling on the Most High, he's going back to the place that he dedicated for the Most High. It's not saying that, we can't pray and speak to the Most High elsewhere, but it's interesting that the Tanakh is bringing out that when he's going to call on the Most High, he's going to the place that he dedicated towards the Most High, which is the most sacred place, right? Or the most set apart place in his mind that is towards or for the Most High. That's why he's going back to it. So that's why I believe we have connections, we have Mishkan that we dedicate to the Most High. So the Most High will hear us there. The Most High hear us anywhere, but the Most High will hear us at the places that he deemed to accept our dedication for him, right? Think about when we're praying towards Jerusalem. This is where it was dedicated as far as our prayers, if we're facing that direction, I'm not going to say east because if you're on the other side, you're not facing east. So towards Jerusalem. This is the same concept we're seeing right here. So I wanted to point that out. Verse 5. And Lot also, who went with Abraham, had flocks and herds and tents. So we not only do we see Abraham having these things, but those who are associated with Abraham, right, or Abraham, have these things, or Abraham, those that are associated with them, those that are a part of this journey with him, right? Abraham is a servant of the Most High, and he has individuals with him that are following along with him, right? They are coming under his tutelage, right? And they have these things as well. Let's keep going. Verse 6. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. Watch this. And there was a strife between the herdmen of Abraham's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle. And the Canaani and the Perizi dwelt then in the land. Now watch this. It didn't say it was strife between Abraham, right, and Lot. It said amongst the herdmen of both Abraham and Lot. So what this shows is, although the goal is to be on one accord community-wise, to gain and have brotherhood amongst one another, sisterhood, whatever it might be, we must understand that there is still a remnant. Everyone is not going to be able to accomplish this or do it. Everyone is not going to have it in their mind that they want to do it. We have to remember that, and we cannot allow it, by us seeing that a lot of people aren't doing it, to cause us to fall away, to cause us to want to pull back from the Most High, to cause us to want to be mediocre or complacent because, well, everyone else is doing it. That's not what we can do. We don't have that luxury if we are servants of the Most High. So what we see here is Abraham and Lot, they're not the ones that's having strife. But what we do see is wisdom. Watch this, what Abraham says to Lot. And Abraham said to Lot, or Lot, let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and you. We don't want this, because he mentioned us first. Then he goes and says, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen, for we are brethren. Wait a minute, I thought that was your nephew. We are brethren. He calling him his brother, but that's his nephew. That shows a different connection. That shows a different love, right? To call your nephew your brother. And then also, we see wisdom in Abraham saying, okay, look, we got to do something because we're not at odds right now. We're not having strife towards each other. But what I do know if we let this fester and keep going on, eventually we may have strife with one another. That's what Abraham is saying right now. That's what Abraham is saying right now. Let's keep going. Verse 9. Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me, right? If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left. So they're not at odds or strife, but they want to keep this relationship the way it is. So let's just part ways for now. Let's remove these individuals that are a part of us. We can't let them go technically because they are a part of our family. They're a part of what we're doing. Let's just part for now. All right. Verse 10, and Lot lifted up his eyes. He didn't argue. He didn't say, no, I'm not doing it. He didn't say any of that. He understood the mission. He understood what they are to one another. He understood Abraham's history of understanding and how he moved the Most High. He understood this. So he didn't fight on this because he understood if he was to, they would be at odds. And Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere before the Most High destroyed Sodom and Amorah. Now, for those who's reading this translation, this is actually what you all have in your translation as Gomorrah. But it does not have a gimel or gimel in the beginning of that word Gomorrah. It has a ayin, right? A ayin, so it's a guttural sound. So that's the reason it sounds like more. It's guttural, Amorah. So that's why you hear the spelling right here. I wanted to stop there, give a little Hebrew. So Sodom and Amorah, like the garden of the Most High, like the land of Mizraim, as thou comest to Zoar. All right. Verse 11. Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves one from the other. It's nothing wrong, you all, and this is not the end of the lesson or even where I'm going with it. But I want to use this example to say sometimes you have to part ways to maintain the brotherhood. Sometimes you have to part ways to maintain a form of the brotherhood, I should say. Just for a minute. But we pray and we hope that you never do, right? Those that understand the mission, they're going to maintain, they're going to push to maintain and continue on in it. But this is just a good example of two individuals ahead of their herdsmen, and understood that in order to maintain it, we got to separate just for a minute. We got to separate for a minute. Verse 12. Abraham dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent toward Sodom. Right? But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Most High exceedingly. And the Most High said to Abraham, after Lot was separated from him, lift up now thy eyes and look from the place where thou art, northward and southward and eastward and westward. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. This is important that we're reading this, you all. We're seeing how the Most High is dealing with Abraham. Every time the Most High told him to do something, he did it. This is why Abraham is called what he's called, right? A friend of the Most High, if I'm not mistaken, right, Princess? A friend of the Most High?
Yes.
Okay. He was willing to do. He wanted to do. He understood what the mission was. And I'm not even going to say all the way understood it. I don't think he completely understood, but he understood who the Most High was to him and what the Most High was doing for him. Verse 17, arise, walk through the land in the length of it and in the breadth of it, for I will give it to thee. Then Abraham removed his tent and came and dwelt by the terebinths of Mamre, which is in Haran, and built there an altar to the Most High. Every time the Most High told him to do something, he does not hesitate. He didn't hesitate. According to the literature that we're reading, he didn't even complain. As far as this subject we're speaking on right now. I'm not saying that you won't, have in your mind certain things, be kind of, down, whatever it might be, but stay the course. Move. Keep moving. Keep doing what it is the Most High is leading you to do. Because at the end, you might end up like Abraham in some fashion by being obedient. We see that he told him to arise in verse 17, walk through the land. And at that moment, in verse 18, he removed his tent. He went. And then when he went, he dedicated another location towards the Most High. Everywhere he went, he brought the Most High with him. That might sound weird, me saying that. Everywhere he went, he brought the Most High with him. In action. Something to think about. Let's go ahead and continue. Chapter 14. Any questions before we go to chapter 14? Any questions? Anybody that's in YouTube or Facebook land, if you have any questions or comments, please, write it down. We'll share it and read it. Those that's listening, please subscribe, like, and share it. All right. No questions. We appreciate you all tuning in. Let's go ahead and continue. We're going to jump to chapter 14. It's a lot of reading today, you all. It's a lot of reading, but it's a good message. It's a lot of important aspects of this particular event that's happening between Abraham and Lot. We're going to see some things with Sarah as well soon that I thought was pretty important and interesting. Let's keep going. Verse 1, chapter 14. And it came to pass in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Aryot, king of Elasar, Kedorla Omer, king of Elam, and Tilal, king of Goim, that these made war with Bera, king of Sodom. Right? I don't forget how to say it in Sodom, right? In English. So Sodom, for those that's listening in, if you haven't figured it out yet, that is Sodom. Sodom and Gomorrah. I say Sodom. All right. That these made war with Bera, king of Sodom, and with Bersha, king of Amorah, Shinav, king of Admah, and Shemeva, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, which is Zoar. All these was joined together in the vale of Siddim, which is the salt sea. 12 years they served Kedorla Omer, and in the 13th year they rebelled. Verse 5. And in the 14th year came Kedorla Omer and the kings that were with him, and smote the Rephaim in Ashtaroth, Karnaim, and the Zuzim in Ham, and the Emim in Shav Kayataim. Verse 6. And the Hori in their Mount Seir unto El Paran, which is by the wilderness. And they returned and came to En Mishpat. Who knows that word? Mishpat, which is Kadesh, and smote all the country of the Amaleki, and also the Amori, and that dwelt in Hazazon Tamar. So it's a war going on right now. If you're not catching on right now, it's a war that's happening. But watch what's happening within this war. Watch what takes place, right? And there went out the king of Sodom or Sodom, and the king of Gomorrah, so two separate kings of Gomorrah, and the king of Admah, and the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, the same is Zoar, and they joint battle with them in the vale of Siddim. And Kedorla Omer, the king of Elam, and with Tidal, king of Goyim, and Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elasar, 4 kings against 5. And the vale of Siddim was full of slime pits, and the kings of Sodom and Amorah fled and fell there, and they that remained fled to the mountain. All this is important, you all. And they took all the goods of Sodom and of Gomorrah and all their food stuff and went their way. Now watch this. And they took Lot. Right? So when this stuff takes place, when you think of wars, they take people captive. So they're taking Lot at this time. Abraham's nephew, right? Abraham's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom or Sodom, and his goods, and departed. Make note that Lot dwelt in Sodom. You all heard the story, I'm sure. But let's keep going. Let's see if it's anything that we're going to see that's different than what we heard. And there came out that had And there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt by the terebinths of Mamre, the Emori, brother of Eshcol and brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abram. And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, wait, he got a brother that was taken captive? When his brother was taken captive, which is his nephew, he led forth his trained servants, born in his own house, 318, and pursued them to Dan. This is the part I wanted to get to, but I needed you all to see the history of it. So they parted ways, remember? They went their separate ways for the sake of maintaining their brotherhood. The scripture don't say that, but when you're looking at it, we need to separate before we end up like our herdsmen. But then we see something that's happening to Lot at this point, or Lot at this point, and he didn't hesitate, right? The scripture calls it his brother. As soon as this happened with his brother, which wasn't his real brother, by the way, he went ahead, he jumped in, got his 318 people of his house, and they pursued them to Dan. Keep that in mind. And he divided himself against them. Verse 15. He and his servants by night, and smote them and pursued them to Hova, which is on the left hand of Damascus. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought back his brother Lot and his goods, and the women also, and the people. Now, one thing that we got to pay attention to is he brought all those individuals that was within his home. For them to go and to recover Lot and the women that was with him, they had to be trained. They had to have some form of training. They had to have some form of defense structure or offense structure, both of them. They had to understand how to do both of these. A lot of us don't. A lot of us will be messed up if it came down to this in real life. A lot of us are depending on the police, are depending on living in the cities, thinking that we're going to be protected. I know this is a different subject, but the concept is still the same. Abraham took these men, these people with him, to go recover Lot and the women with him and people that was with him. They went to recover. In order to do that, you need to be trained. So we have to learn and put the action towards being trained, right? We have to do that. Because right now we're all still, even though we're living in lands and even though we're keeping this Torah and things like that, we're still operating under the United States hand. We're still feeling safe through them. We're not feeling safe with ourselves or through our people. We're not. And if and or when this system messes up, we're going to really see something like this, or a more modern way of looking at it. What's that TV show called that we watch? Ishti, like The Walking Dead. You know, everything's shut down. People got to learn to fend for themselves. You know, we're not there yet, and we need to get there. All right. Let's go down to verse 17. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Kedorla Omer and of the kings that were with him at the valley of Shave, which is the king's dale. Watch this. Verse 18. Because this is thrown in here, right? It goes from dealing with the king of Sodom. Now it's about to go into Melchizedek, the king of Shalem or Salem. Then it's going to go back to the king of Sodom. But watch this. It says, and Melchizedek, king of Shalem, brought out bread and wine, and he was a priest of the Most High Power, the Creator. Why is the scripture pointing out that he was a priest of the Most High Creator? Why didn't it just say he was a priest? Well, one, because it's trying to let us know that not only was he a king, but he was a priest. but it was other priests among him, other neighboring priests. So the scripture needs to let us know that this was a priest of the Most High, not just some random priest. It is a school of thought that says that this is Shem, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not negating or saying it is or isn't, but this is a school of thought that says Melchizedek, king of Shalem, is Shem. The story of Noah, Shem. Let's keep reading. And he blessed him. So not only did he bring bread and wine to Abraham, right, after this war took place, after him recovering Lot and the people with Lot. So he's coming to congratulate, let himself be known, and he's bringing something to Abraham, which shows the status of how or what they viewed Abraham. It says, and he blessed him and said, blessed be Abraham of the Most High power, possessor of heaven and earth. Blessed be Abraham of the Creator. To be of something is a part of something, to be close to be a representative of, to be seen that you are doing it consistently, for them to recognize him, right? And blessed be the Most High power or the Creator, who has delivered thy enemies into thy hand. And he gave him a tithe of everything. This scripture right here, verse 20, is one that you might see people speak and say that Abraham gave this tithe to Melchizedek, the king of Shalem. Then there's a school of thought that says that Melchizedek, king of Shalem, gave him a tithe of everything. I would love to hear you all's thoughts. Prince, I will definitely love to hear your thoughts after this chapter on that. All right. So keep that in mind. Two different schools of thoughts. The more popular school of thought is Abraham giving him a tithe, right? And if so, this would be considered the first tithe that's being taught. It's taught that it's the first tithe. All right, verse 21. And the king of Sodom goes right back into the king of Sodom. So now we're not going to hear any mention of Melchizedek at this point. Said to Abraham, give me the persons and take the goods to thyself. Now, remember earlier, I was saying that you have to be careful who you're dealing with, right? I gave the example of like if somebody was to come in your home and they ask you, is anyone here? And most of you are going to say no. If your wife or your husband is upstairs, you're going to say no because you don't want them to get hurt, right? So you can't be honest just with any and everyone. This is another example of not the honesty portion, but as far as not allowing this closeness or allowing someone to have some type of ownership of them participating in things that you do. Let's keep going. And the king of Sodom said to Abraham, give me the persons and take the goods to thyself. Right? So he wants the people that Abraham saved. Give me the persons and take the goods to thyself. And Abraham said to the king of Sodom, I have raised my hand to the Most High power, the Creator, the possessor of heaven and earth, that I will take nothing from a thread, even to a shoe latchet, and that I will not take anything that is yours, lest thou shouldest say, I have made Abraham rich. Sometimes now this is a different subject, but sometimes it's good to do things yourself because everyone is not for you. People might want to put something in just to benefit more so themselves. It's not benefiting you. That transaction should be both, right? But Prince said something earlier, if I'm not mistaken, he said something as far as brotherhood. The example of true brotherhood is doing for others more than you would do for yourself, right? But this individual right here wasn't that person that Abraham wanted to be a part of and do anything with, right? You got to pay attention to that. Everyone is not your brother, even if they're in the path that you're in. Some would disagree with me on that because we're also supposed to be the children of Israel. I get that. But you do have enemies amongst that are enemies towards you, right? You can forgive them, You don't have to be a part of them. All right. Verse 24. This is the last verse. Save only that which the young men have eaten, and the share of the men who went with me, Aner, Echal, and Mamre, let them take their share. All right, we're going to stop right there. Any comments? Any questions? Any comments? Any questions? Any comments?
Rosh,
Okay.
if we had that conversation down, would it be a good time to have that conversation about the tithes and the Melchizedek, or do you want to wait that until later?
Oh no, bring it. Go ahead. If you have anything on that, I would love to hear your thoughts anyway on that.
All right, can you scroll back up, please? I think it was verse 16, was it?
All right.
Was it 16 or 18?
Might be.
There you go.
Yep, right here.
All right. What is that? 18? Okay.
Verse 20 is when he gave the tithe. Verse 18 is when it starts. Yep.
Scroll up one more. When he first introduces them. 16?
Verse 18. 18. Verse 18.
Okay. Correct. And it says, Melchizedek, king of Salem. Now, Salem was the ancient name of Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the original ancient names. And then after that, you get what they call Jubus. Jebusites, Jubus. So Jubus and Jerusalem was the same place. These were Canaanite people. So Melchizedek, from what we could gather from the information, was a Canaanite, but yet he worshiped the Creator. Just as you brought out earlier, Rosh. You brought that out, that he worshiped the Almighty. Now, in Psalms, the Creator says he's never dealt with another nation like he's dealt with us. They only had trinkets of like certain people, small communities of people who worship the Creator. Just so happened that their king, who was Melchizedek, actually worshiped the Creator. But the people, the nation that he was with, were Canaanites, and they practiced idolatry. But now, as we go down, he was a priest of the Most High, and he blessed him. Now, who's blessing who? We're still talking about Melchizedek blessing Abraham, if you follow how it goes. Mm-hmm. And he blessed him, and this is what he said: blessed be Abram of the Most High power, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be the Most High power, who has delivered thy enemies into thy hand, and have given him a tithe, and he gave him a tithe of everything. Think about it for a minute. If we follow the flow, Melchizedek is saying everything and doing everything. Abraham is receiving. You also have to remember that Abraham had nothing of his own. He said, I can't give nothing because I promised that none of this would go to me and make me rich. So how is he going to give a tenth of something that doesn't belong to him after he had already dedicated all that to the Most High? But Melchizedek came on the scene, giving up bread and wine, paying homage and respect to our father, Abraham, who understood Abraham's role and position in this whole walk of life. So Abraham didn't give a tenth to Melchizedek. Melchizedek gave a tenth to Abraham. If we scroll up a little bit more, let's see what it says.
I'll go to the top or keep going down?
You going down. All right, I'm start at 20. And blessed be the Most High Creator, who has delivered thy enemies into thy hand. And he gave him a tithe or a tenth of everything. And the king of Sodom, now they call him the king of Sodom, said to Abraham, he's still speaking. He said, give me the persons and take thy goods to thyself, as if these people belong to Abram. Abram said, these people came with me. I don't own them. You know, there's nothing I can give you that I don't own. Matter of fact, even the money I don't own. Read on. Scroll down some, please. And Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have raised my hand to the Most High Creator, and possessor of heaven and earth, that I will take nothing from a thread, even to a shoe latchet, that I will not take anything that is thine, lest thou shalt say, I have made Abram rich. He didn't want anything. He had nothing to give. Abram's only desire was to free his nephew. That was it. So when you bring up that issue about who paid who a tenth, Abram received a tenth. He didn't give anything. It was given to him. And just like you said, most people teach it the other way.
Yep.
But that's not the way that it went. May the Most High be praised.
Told I for that. That's exactly my school of thought. And that's why I teach my home that he brought a tent to Abraham according to the literature. That's what the literature says. I'm not going to add to it. The Bear has questioned the king of Sodom or Sodom is a different person than that of king of Shalem, correct? According to the scripture, it is. Okay. According to the scripture, it is. You have something different than that, Prince, or does it correct?
The king of Sodom was the king who said, what is that verse that? He said, give me the people and the riches and all that stuff. Okay. That was the king of Sodom. He wanted his people back that survived. Remember, this was the time of Lot. Lot was living in Sodom right before the Most High destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So their king was acting for the people because he wasn't strong enough to go get them. He had to rely on Abram. And Abram only had, 300 men, I think it was?
Bro, 300 or something, yep.
That went up against a whole nation of people. It's a powerful chapter you're reading here. But, people don't look deep into this, but you got to.
Okay. We got a couple more, you all. Won't be too long, but we're about to go into some interesting things because it is a part within what Princess brought out, what we're actually going into, something dealing with some Sodom and Gomorrah that I want to bring out. And I haven't heard anyone bring out what I'm going to say. Maybe you all could correct me when I do bring it out, if you have heard it. Let's roll down to chapter 17. I just want to read one verse. One verse in chapter 17 is all I want to read, and we're going to jump to chapter 18. But here's chapter 17, verse 1. And it says, and when Abram was 99 years old, the Most High appeared to Abram and said to him, I am the Almighty power. Walk before me and be perfect. Walk before me and be perfect. I just want to point that out, that the Most High, the scripture says that the Most High doesn't change. We have seen instances where he modified things that he wanted to be done, but he has not changed his character, his outlook on how we are supposed to move. You're not going to see a change in that at all. So when I hear the scripture say he does not change, I hear that. And right here, the Most High has been telling us through the Torah, if you just call the Torah Bible, or throughout the whole Tanakh, especially with the Nevi'im, the prophets, for us to come before him, cleanse ourselves, change ourselves, be set apart, be perfect. This word right here is tamim. This is the word that I keep telling people when I'm bringing this out. This word is tamim. It literally only means blameless, walking in integrity, being complete, being balanced. That's what Bayeeth Ma'azahn comes from. Being balanced, being blameless. We think we can't walk around and be blameless. We can do it. We choose not to, either that, or we're afraid to. Or number three, we may not have been presented truly how to do it, but it's definitely those three. We're afraid to, right? We don't want to, or we choose not, or we're just not equipped and understand it. But we can walk around blameless. We got to choose it. Most High believes we can. How come we don't? How the Most High believe that we can be blameless, but we don't? Every person you talk to will say to you that there's no one righteous and no one's perfect and things of that nature. I understand those that say no one is perfect in the way that it should be said, I agree with. But the way that most people say it, it's removing accountability. Those that may say it the way that I believe that they're saying it, they're not removing accountability. They're letting you know that you're going to mess up. They're not saying anything different than what the scriptures say when it says the righteous will fall 7 times. That's not a real number. So the people that say no one's perfect in the way that I know that they're saying it, they're literally just saying you will fall, but you can get back up and you can go and just don't go back into that path anymore. I'm not trying to go somewhere else from the lesson, but I wanted to bring this out because the Most High is telling him to be this way. Be blameless. You can do it. And be blameless according to me, not according to everyone else. Because 9 times out of 10 or 8 times out of 10, those everyone else's, those other people are saying that stuff about you because they know they're not walking blameless. So they want you to be in that same flow. All right, let's keep going. Go to chapter 18. We got 2 chapters left, you all. We're going to chapter 18. I wanted to bring that out. Meditate on this verse 17 and 1, you all. He's saying, walk before me and be perfect. A lot of us want to be like Adam and Hawa when they wanted to hide. And I'm not downplaying, our past mother and father in that light, but the scriptures, I always speak on this. The Tanakh is the best book alive ever. Not because it's the #1 selling book, but because it has all the good and all the bad that we can learn from. A lot of our righteous forefathers and or mothers would have loved to have everything that we have right now. We have it all here. We can see what our great ones did and see where they messed up at. And okay, let's not go that route. We can see this and we can do it. We got to choose to do it. All right, let's keep going. Chapter 18. Chapter 18. All right. Did I skip it? I think I skipped it. Give me a second, you all. Bear with me. There we are. 18. This is important. And the Most High appeared to him by the terebinths of Mamre as he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. It says the Most High appeared to him. Watch this. And he raised his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself to the ground. Okay. Before I go forward, remember when we started off, Lot was with him. He was learning from him. He was on a journey with him. He was having some of the same stuff that he was having, even so much so that their herdmen, it was so congested, they was thriving so much that they was banging with each other, basically. So remember these points, these milestones that I'm bringing out. They was doing that, and Abraham and Lot, they wasn't at odds, but he wanted to have them separate so that they won't become at odds. Because if you let stuff fester, every now and again, eventually, they will, make what you're trying to build fall. So they sought to separate. Keep that in mind. Then we went forward and we saw that as soon as Abraham got wind of what was going on with Lot, it said his brother, it didn't say his nephew, it said his brother was being captive. He went, right? So they separated and then he went, took his men and they went. Now let's keep going right now. It says, and he raised his eyes. Now at this point, Lot is no longer with them. Lot is no longer with them. But watch this. And he raised his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself to the ground. That's another topic. I'm not going to get into that. And he said,
why not? People need to hear that.
I will do a little. I would say this. When we have a lot of people within our community that are afraid of doing a lot of stuff, and they put doctrine on the masses of the community, right? Things dealing with graven images, things dealing with bowing and stuff like that. When the Most High is telling us not to bow before other deities or whatever we want to call them, it's dealing with worshiping. This bowing that was done right here by Abraham was not in a matter of worship per se. Now I will say this. I got to look at the word because it's two different words for bowing. One is dealing with worship. One is dealing with more so reverence. We saw that with Dawood when Dawood bowed to his mother. You all remember that? You all remember when Dawood bowed to his mother? Okay. So before I put this out there, I got to check this word. I'm not sure if this is the one that's dealing with worship or if it's dealing with just heavily reverencing. But what I'm trying to bring out is it's a lot of times in our community and even in the Christian world that we're taking these words and we're not understanding culture. It is okay to reverence and have honor to those that are within our community, even sometimes have a bow. When you look at other ethnicities, you see that happening within their communities. We're not used to that today because we have a Eurocentric mindset. We have a westernized mindset. We're going to read some more stuff in a minute to where we don't even do today. And if we did do it, people will look at us like we're crazy. Wait until we finish this chapter. You're going to see what I'm talking about. Even the part where what we do here at the Mishkan or the Knesset, here Temple Kivarim, when we come in, we take our shoes off, washing our hands before teaching, even washing our feet, so things like that. That's foreign to us. So when we read this, you might hear people say something like, okay, well, he's worshiping an angel or a messenger. It's not that. Did you have a comment to that before I continue, Prince?
Man, you did a great job.
I try to go as quick as possible on that. All right. So we're going to verse 3. It said, my master, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. So wait a minute. This is Abraham talking, if I'm not mistaken. And he's talking to these three individuals at this point. But he's saying, my master, if now I have found favor in your sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. So how is Abraham a servant of these messengers who's coming in the place of the Most High? Think of the movies that you all watch. 9 times out of 10, those individuals that the king would send the messenger to, they could not touch that messenger because that messenger was a representation of that king. He was the king. That messenger was the king at that point, in a sense. So when he's talking to this messenger or this servant or these servants, he's talking to the Most High. Let's keep going. Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched and wash your feet. And hopefully that resonates what I just said, you all. If not, please ask your questions or comments after. And rest yourselves unto the tree. And I will fetch a morsel of bread and comfort your hearts. After that, you shall pass on, seeing that you are come to your servant. And they said, right? It says they said. So he's the servant to all of them. Let's keep going. So do as thou hast said. And Abraham hastened into, at this point, we see the name change. It's not the same as before. We skipped, I think, 2 chapters, you all. And Abraham hastened into the tent to Sarai, and said, make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal and knead it, and make cakes. And Abraham ran to the herd and fetched the calf tender and good, and gave it to the young man, and he hurried to prepare it. Watch this. And he took butter and milk and the calf which he had dressed and set it before them, and he stood by them unto the tree, and they ate. So made food for these messengers, right? These I would say men of the Most High, or whatever you want to say, but these are messengers of the Most High, and it says they ate. Keep that in mind. They ate. And they said to him, where is Sarai, thy wife? And he said, behold, in the tent. And he said, I will certainly return to thee at this season. And lo, Sarai, thy wife, will have a son. Wait a minute. And he said, so it's going back and forth from saying they said to he said. Are y'all paying attention to that? They said to him, and he said, I will certainly return to thee at this season. And lo, Sarai, your wife, so this isn't Abraham speaking, shall have a son. So they're one. Just keep that in mind. And Sarai heard it in the tent door, which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarai were old, advanced in age, and it had ceased to be with Sarai after the manner of women. Therefore Sarai laughed within herself, saying, after I am grown and old, shall I have pleasure, my master, being also old also? So we seeing Sarai, I want to point this out. In our community, we're trying to get back to our what we did in the Tanakh days. Of course, we got to modernize how we move. We have to be able to move in 2023. But it's certain reverence that we're seeing across the board. We're seeing bowing the messengers of the Most High. We're seeing the Sarai, which I haven't seen anything bad yet at all that has been said about Sarai or Sarah. We might see something in about half a second. But I haven't seen anything at all, right? And look how she addresses and talks about her husband. She says, therefore Sarai laughed within herself, saying, after I am grown old, shall I have pleasure? My, or Adoni, being old also. So now she's referencing her husband at this point. He's old too. He's old. Am I going to receive this? Now, granted, this is being called, he's being called this by her due to him moving in a way of being blameless. He's being a representative of the Most High. She's witnessing him move consistently since they have been married, and probably before, but since they have been married, he's been consistent. You know, some will argue that one time when he told her to lie is, okay, cool. If you want to pick one moment out of this man's whole journey that we're reading, then we have to reassess us, because we're looking for something in somebody to fail to make us feel better through their failure and to remove all the righteousness that they have done. Keep that in mind. If you are one of those people, go to the Most High and ask the Most High to work on you. If any of us is one of those people, we have to get that worked out.
One of what people? Explain it again, please.
One of those people that's looking for something negative in an individual, and what you're really doing is covering up something that what you might be lacking. You might be lacking something, but a lot of people do that. They look for one reason, and watch this. Christianity does that with our patriarchs. They want to validate that a person sins to prove that everyone is a sinner. So they take one moment in the patriarchs or matriarchs, whatever you want to say, and they want, see, he sinned here. See, she did this, to justify them continuing in sin. But the Most High don't want us to sin. Matter of fact, the Most High has removed himself from Yisrael many times, still wanting to be with us. We can see that through the Tanakh, all the way to Isaiah and more. Said, please, I'm pleading with you. So he doesn't want to be around that sin. So pointing out something that takes place, which is what we all do often, that does not take away from what they have done consistently. Remember the scripture that said, righteous man will fall 7 times? If this is looked at as being wrong, what he's done, cool. But we have to see if that is what the Tanakh says. And we need to go off that, because today what we do, we go off of what any of us say. Well, that ain't what I'm reading right here. Are you truly qualified? And people will take offense by me saying, are you truly qualified also? Oh, well, he thinks he's better. No, I don't. I think that I'm a servant of the Most High, but you best believe I study my butt off. And I'm trying my best to walk blameless. Perfect. Let's keep going. Hopefully I answered your question, Prince, on those people. Who are they and what they are doing. 13. Don't worry, you all. We're almost done. And the Most High said to Abraham, why did Sarai laugh, saying, shall I indeed bear a child? Is anything? I'm sorry. Shall I indeed bear a child? Who am old? Is anything too hard for the Most High? At the time appointed, I will return to thee at this season, and Sarai shall have a son. Then Sarai denied, saying, I laughed not, for she was afraid. And he said, no, but thou didst laugh. So watch this. The Most High said she laughed, she denied it, and lied. She was afraid. But the Most High is reasonable. The Most High also sees your consistency. This is me speaking. This is not the scripture, but this is what I'm seeing contextually across the scripture. We haven't seen anything done bad with Sarah. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't seen anything done bad with Sarah, but she lied right here. She denied it, but she was afraid though. For she was afraid. The Most High just addressed through the messages or through him himself, no, but thou didst laugh. It was not a punishment given. I don't see anything talking about a punishment. The Most High loves us, and the Most High loves those that is faithful and consistent. So this is my take on it. I would love to hear you all's comments or thoughts in regards to this, because it's nothing being addressed after this. After he said what he said, at this point, nothing's being addressed about anything regarding her. But let's keep going. And the men rose up from there and looked towards Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. And the Most High said, shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I intend to do? Right? Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. I don't understand how we can read the scripture, how we can say we are the people, and this don't encourage us right here. Verse 17 doesn't encourage us right here. Verse 18 doesn't encourage us. It says, and the Most High said, shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I intend to do? That's an honor for the Most High to sit up here and not hide anything from his people, but it has to be those that are consistent. The Most High is telling him, I'm not going to hide anything that I intend to do from you. And it's a reason he said that. Let's see why. Watch this. It's always a reason why the Most High is saying something. Let's read 18 again. Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For those that's listening, I hope you're paying attention to this. Watch this. For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Most High, to do justice and judgment. Judgment being righteous judgment, you all. And the Most High may bring upon Abraham that which he has spoken of him. He gave us the antidote right here. He said, I'm not going to hold nothing back from you, because I know that you will, or he will command his children and his household, not just him. He go command his children and his household after him, and they will keep the way of the Most High, to do justice and to do judgment. That should be our goal. Even if it's starting now, that should be our goal, to the best of our ability, to teach our household properly. And the household have to understand what how to move. We're going to see that in the last chapter. We got one more chapter after this. We're going to see what I'm talking about. The household has to follow suit of the hierarchy. And it's a reason why. You got to follow that hierarchy. If you don't, it's a possibility you will fail. We see this across the board in the so-called black community. We created our own hierarchy. Some people will say what I'm saying right now is misogynistic. Well, I feel like what I'm saying right now is looking at the consistency of all the other ethnicity groups, how they thriving more than us, and we darn sure can surpass them. But let's keep going. Watch what he's saying. Let's read it again. For I know him that he will command his children, not befriend his children, command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Most High to do justice and judgment, and the Most High may bring upon Abraham that which he has spoken of him. And the Most High said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which is come to me. And if not, I will know. Watch this, keep reading. And the men turned their faces from there and went down to Sodom. But Abraham stood yet before the Most High. So the scripture right here is saying that Abraham is still standing before the Most High. You all remember it was 3 men that came with him. It says that the men turned their faces. So is this talking about all the men? Let's keep reading and see. And Abraham drew near and said, wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Now it's something that's happening right here. We've been taught how, and I'm not going to read all of this. I don't have to read all of this because we want to go into the next chapter. We could keep reading it. 24. Perhaps there are 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein? Right? Far be it from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked. Far be it from thee. Shall not the judge of all earth do right? So he's talking to the representative of the Most High, basically talking to the Most High, and he's bringing. He's not saying anything wrong to the Most High. He's not challenging in a unrighteous way to the Most High. He's bringing what he knows of the Most High out. It's okay to do that, but you got to have a certain consistency of yourself to do something like that, in my opinion. That's my opinion. And the Most High said, if I find in Sodom 50 just men within the city, then I will spare all the place of their sakes. Okay, so as you continue to read down, he starts to go into, the number starts to fall down from 50 righteous, right? I'm not going to read all of it. He started going down to the 40, right? You keep going down. He started going down until the 10, right? I'm going to go to 32. And he said, oh, let not the Most High be angry. Why? Because he's continuing to ask the Most High. And when I read this yesterday, when I was studying up on it again, it showed me something. The Most High said to be set apart as he is set apart. So the Most High wants us to be as he is, right? This was a lot of patience that the Most High had with Abraham, because he understood that Abraham is righteous. He understood that Abraham has done everything that he has told him to do. He has pulled tents up and left as soon as he was told. So why not have patience with this individual for asking these questions back to back to back? And not just listening to me because I'm going to destroy. Why not have patience? This teaches us something. We need to have more patience with our people, especially the people that we know are trying to serve the Most High properly. This cut me, you all. When I read this cut me, and I pressed hard to be as patient as I could be with my people. But it's cut me from my people. It cut me from my home, right? Me being the leader that I'm supposed to be, I'm supposed to have patience, a little more patience. The Most High had a lot of patience for Abraham right here. But one thing I don't think we caught, and maybe you all did, why is Abraham actually asking this question? Why is he being so adamant asking this? Did you all forget that his brother is in Sodom? In Sodom. The last number was 10. We're going to see some in the next chapter. I don't think 10 was an actual number, but it was close to. He was putting these numbers out here and steady asking because he was thinking, and this is my opinion, he was thinking of his brother, which is his nephew. But let's keep going. We're going to go to the next. I'll read this right here, verse 33. And the Most High went his way as soon as he had left speaking to Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place. So Abraham didn't try to go down there to save Lot or Lot. He knew what the Most High said was going to happen. He just asked questions because of Lot or Lot, my opinion. But he didn't try to go down there and save Lot, because you can't go against what the Most High already put in place. If you are a righteous man or woman of the Most High, you know that what the Most High says, you could talk to him, you can ask him questions, but you better stay still. It says that he returned to his place. Any questions before we go to this last chapter? We have this last chapter. We're only going to read. We're only going to read a few verses.
You know what? You just made me realize something, Rosh. You brought out a very interesting part. When Lot had a problem with man, flesh and blood, Abram ran to his assistance. But when he had a problem with the Creator, Abram stood back.
Mm-hmm.
You just brought that part out. Yeah. He didn't even try to intervene. The only thing he tried to do was pray for him.
That's
Creator
it.
have mercy on him.
Mm.
Yeah, that was a very, very interesting part. I never paid that attention before. Total about it.
Most High. All praise to the Most High. Any other questions or comments? Any other questions or comments? We are almost done, you all. Yes, Zakena, Tucilia. The Most High abounds in patience. And they like to say that our power is some evil being. No. Our power, our Creator, has more patience than anyone. Anyone. I don't care what person or fake deity, God, or whatever we want to call them. Our power has patience, not only for us, but we've seen in a previous lesson what he did with Nineveh. He had patience with them until he didn't have patience with them. So it's just something to think about. All right, we're almost done, you all. I want to go to this, and this part I'm about to bring out is really, this chapter is a shaky chapter, and more particular for the women in our community. But I want to bring something for you all that I'm not sure if anybody paid attention to. And maybe it will help our women and or some men that teach this chapter in a bad way to understand what is actually being said. And you all already know where I'm going. But let's start. Verse 1. And there came two angels. Oh, wait a minute. Remember he said the messengers left? Remember it was 3 of them in the last chapter? But in this chapter, it says it's 2 of them. So that means one of the messengers stayed with Abraham, who was the representative of the Most High. My opinion through my studies, I would love to hear you all's comments and thoughts. But that was a representative of the Most High, which was the Most High in that regard. And the other 2 are the ones that came down. And there came 2 Malachim, it should say, to Sodom. Yep, it does say it. To Sodom at evening, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, or Lot. He bowed himself with his face to the ground. Who else did we see do that? Who else did we see do that? Put that in the chat, you all. Who else bowed their face to the ground? Come on. I can't move for it. There we go. Abraham, which means what? It means something. He's living amongst Sodom, right? He's living amongst Sodom. The text doesn't say that he was wicked with Sodom, but he's living amongst. So it's something that he kept a cultural aspect and understanding of reverence to a messenger of the Most High, or a representative of the Most High. He paid the same homage and respect that Abraham did as well, and he wasn't even with them. Let's keep going. And he said, behold now, my masters, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house. Now, hear this. Those that's listening, those might listen back. Understand this is a cultural talk, right? He's not really a slave to these messages of the Most High, but it's an understanding of reverence. You hear us a lot of times say that we serve the Most High. So if we serve the Most High, we're servants of the Most High and those who come in the name of the Most High. So Lot understood that he is a servant to his masters. They're a master because they come in the name of the Most High. Right? And tarry, so it says, I pray you into your servant's house and tarry all night and wash your feet, and you may rise up early and go your ways. And they said, no, but we will abide in the street all night. So apparently at this point, Lot don't know what's going on. Technically, he don't know what's about to happen. Let's keep reading. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in to him and enter into his house. And he made them a feast and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. That's interesting, unleavened bread. But I do want to make a little correction, maybe, possibly a correction. He could have known. I'm not going to say he didn't know. The script did not know. The scripture doesn't say he knew or he didn't. But it did say that he pressed upon them greatly. So it depends on what it means when he pressed upon them greatly. You know, you could be in a hurry to get them out. You don't want nothing to happen. Or it could just be you're really serving them. You're really showing hospitality. So it just depends on what the scripture is trying to say at this point. It does not say that he knew or he didn't know. I just want to put that out there. Verse 4. But before they lay down, the men of the city, watch this, the men of Sodom compassed the house round, both old and young. So the old heads and the young boys, right? All of them was gay. All the people from every quarter, right? Sorry, y'all.
What did you say? They was all what, Rosh? They was all what?
All of them was. I just say faggots because YouTube might try to flag you. Verse 5, and they called to Lot and said to him, watch this. Where are the men who came into thee this night? So you all know this story, but watch this though. But bring out to us that we may know them. Watch what Lot says. And Lot went out at the door to them, and he shut the door after him. He didn't want him in there. And he said, I pray you. So he's a praying man. Brethren. So he's calling them brothers at this point. And I believe more so because he's amongst them or within the gates. Watch this. Do not so wickedly, which means he has an understanding of wickedness and righteousness, which I would want to put in place that he most likely is moving in righteousness among these people to make to differentiate the situation. But watch this. And I said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Why? They're trying to do something that's against the Torah. Behold, now I have 2 daughters who have not known a man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you and do to them, some translations might say, as you want, as is good in your eyes. Only to these men do nothing, seeing that they have come under the shadow of my roof. But wait a minute. He willing to give his daughter? That misogynistic man. He's just gonna give his daughter for the Most High's man. Okay, cool. I get it. I understand. I want to go ahead and serve the Most High the best of my ability. But really, they give their daughters away to random people? No. Let me prove to you all. Watch this. So we see here it says, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not wickedly. Why? Because they're trying to come to these men, right? He says, behold, I have 2 daughters who have not known a man. So they are virgins. Watch this. I'm not going left. I'm about to go right. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you and do to them as is good. When you go to the Hebrew, and this is something that I try to bring to the Hebrew community. Right here, it says lahain, right? Ketov, as or like, good. Why is that word tob important? When we view this and to do good as and to them as good in your eyes, we're viewing it from a Eurocentric point of view. If I talk to you all in Hebrew and I say, ma shlomech, ma shlomcha, right? Or echata, echat, right? How are you? Whichever one I want to use. Most of you all are going to say ani tov. Hebraically, that is incorrect. English and so-called black people and people here, that's correct for us. Tob and Ra is exactly what it's supposed to be. Good and bad. Okay? Watch where I'm going with this. He's telling them, do to them like is good what is good in your eyes, which means you have wicked people or people that are sinners that know that they sin and they do wicked, but they have things that they understand what good is. They understand what is good to them. So they might have, they would never, like, watch this. We got people today that would never, like, just do some wicked stuff to their daughters. I mean, I know it's people that do it, but let's just use that example. To their own daughters. They know that is not good. So he's telling them, I have 2 virgin daughters. Take them, but take them and do what is good. Tob. Not okay, what is good in your eyes. It's not saying it from the way that we look at it here in our community and or in the Christianity who read this book. If you talk to a native speaker in Hebrew, they're not going to say ani tov. If you ask them, how are you? They're going to say, I'm okay, or I'm doing great. They're not going to say I'm good, because good is going towards what a person is or what something is. That is a good dog. That is a good boy. That is a bad boy. That is a bad dog. So when he's saying do as like what is good to you, he's saying, okay, take my daughters, not rape them, harm them, but do what is good. Take them instead. I wanted to point that out. Hopefully it made sense. If you all have questions after this, please ask. But he's literally talking about that word being good. And if it sounds like ranting, I'll take that. But it's not saying it, and it's not saying it from the teaching that we've been getting. He's not trying to give his daughter away to get anything done to them. That's not what's happening, not with this word. All right. Verse 9. Verse 9. Let's keep going. And they said, stand back. And they said, again, this one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with him? So they totally removed that offer. They didn't want to do good to the daughters, or what they deemed as good. They wanted to continue in wickedness, and they wanted to continue to do what was unnatural. And they strongly urged the man Lot and came near to break the door. But the men put out their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them and shut the door. Don't worry, we're still going in brotherhood. For those that's wondering, what does this have to do with brotherhood? And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. And the men said to Lot, hast thou here any besides son-in-law, and thy sons and thy daughters, and whatever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place. Watch this. Now remember, Abraham went down to that number 10. Why didn't he say 1? If I'm not mistaken, I don't even think it said 1. Did it stop at the number 10 in the last chapter? Correct me if I'm wrong, you all. Didn't it stop at number 10, Prince? When the last number he asked for?
10, yes.
Okay.
So notice in verse 12 it says, and the men said to Lot, O Lot, has thou here any besides you, son-in-law, thy sons, thy daughters, and whatever thou hast in this city, bring them out. So it's people with Lot. It's a certain number, which goes back to show you why Abraham was bringing out those numbers. He knew that his nephew or brother, the scripture will say, was there in Sodom. Let's keep reading. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them has grown great before the place of the Most High. And the Most High has sent us to destroy it, right? These 2 men. And Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, who married his daughters, and said, up, get you out this place, for the Most High will destroy the city. But he seemed to his sons-in-law as one that was joking. They didn't take him serious. They thought he was playing. How many of us go through that today when we try to bring stuff from the Most High that we understand through this scripture to be, but they're used to some way. They have a custom that they're used to. So it's hard for them to see this. They don't take it serious. This word jested here is dealing with joking. They looked at him as though he was joking. All right. Let's keep reading. Almost done, you all. We're going to read all the way to chapter 29. Verse 29. And when the morning arose, then the messengers hasted Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters who are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. So Lot wasn't doing iniquity. He moved a certain way. And to some of us in our community and Christianity, they think what he did, he was giving his daughters to just get ravished and all this other stuff. That's not what he was doing. Remember, Tov literally means good. Ra literally means bad. So he really wanted his daughter. If you take them, do what is good. I just want to make that be understood. 16. And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand and upon the hand of his wife and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, and the Most High being merciful to him. And they brought him out and set him outside the city. They were getting this done because of Lot, which was really due to Abraham and due to the culture that they had within their community. Even though they parted, now they still had that there. You know, I'm not trying to harp on the parting, but that is the subject dealing with here. They parted ways. Verse 17, and it came to pass when they had brought them outside that he said, Escape for thy life. Look not behind thee. Neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. And Lot said to them, Oh, not so, my master. Behold, now thy servant has found favor in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast shown to me in saving my life. I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die. I want to stop there. We're going to keep going. This is reality for them, and this may be reality for us one day. We feel so, as I said earlier, so protected by this government, by our policemen in our cities and this and that we do not equip ourselves. We do not be like those 300 men that went to Abraham. They had to be some form of training, right? We have to do that. Let's keep going. 20. Behold, now this city is near to flee to, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape there. Is it not a little one? And my soul shall live. I don't know why they put that there. Verse 21. And he said to him, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this city for which thou hast spoken. So the city that they're going to, right? Haste thee, escape there, for I cannot do anything till thou be come there. Therefore, the name of the city was called Zoar. We're almost done. The sun was risen up the earth. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. Then the Most High rained upon Sodom and upon Amorah brimstone and fire from the Most High out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities, that which grew upon the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. I want to stop there. You hear me talking about brotherhood, so much so that we see that Lot, we're seeing instances of him moving in the same or similar nature as Abraham. We saw Sarai, how she's been moving all the way up to this point outside of the, lying or whatever. But the Most High didn't really say anything or punish her for that. She was afraid. She was petrified or scared, right? But we see that she moved a certain way, how she addressed Abraham and things of that nature, right? But then we see this moment where Lot's wife turned away. The family followed. Let me back up. In the last chapter, we saw that Abraham, it said that he was going to command his household, his family, things of that nature, and they were going to do what was told. Go to Lot's family, we see that those that was in his house was thinking he was joking, laughing at him. Didn't do what it is he told him to do. He still did it. He still did the commandment, what was told for him to do, but they didn't. We saw that house did not technically listen completely to the instruction, right? But we still see Lot is moving in a way of what was presented to him by Abraham. I just wanted to show those two differences. I'm not sure if you all saw that, but it was a difference in leadership. It was a difference in household. And it was a different outcome as to how the Most High said what was going to happen to Abraham and what the outcome was with Lot. But even within the difference of outcome, it still shows that someone, preferably that man, has to continue in instruction and staying committed to what it is the Most High put in place. And we saw that with Lot. But unfortunately, his wife, she didn't pay attention to what it is that was brought forth. And we got to make sure we stay as a unit, as our family today, man and woman alike. We got to pay attention to one another. We need to keep ourselves solidified, right? If you have men of the Most High doing what it is the Most High is saying to do, and they're showing you the consistency of it, then you all should kind of try to move in unison, right? Unison in the Most High, so this won't happen to you, or us, I should say. All right. Let's keep going. And it says, last verse, and Abraham went early in the morning to the place where he had stood before the Most High. Two more verses. And he looked toward Sodom and Amorah and toward all the land of the plain, and beheld, and lo, the smoke of the country went up like the smoke of a furnace. I want to point something out with that. Notice that Abraham, he didn't get to see in real time what was happening. He pulled himself back and he let the Most High will be done. And the aftermath of that, he got to see the Most High work, right, on behalf of him by still bringing back Lot, who he was concerned for. And it came to pass, 29, when the Most High destroyed the cities of the plain, that the Most High remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot dwelt. Remember what I said, that prayer, asking of those numbers, was because of Lot, or Lot. He remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, because Abraham asked if it was anyone righteous, which Abraham viewed Lot or Lot as righteous. And with that, I yield. That was brotherhood. We see how this was the beginning of brotherhood, in my opinion, before Dawood and Yehonathan, that Abraham had for his nephew, which he called his brother, or which the scriptures call his brother. With that, I yield.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. All right, I want to, if you have any questions, family, post your questions in the room. And while we're pulling up the questions, post the questions, and we'll advertise and we'll give Rosh an opportunity to address the questions. But Rosh, can you go to verse 14 for me? Now, verse 14 says, and Lot went out and spake to his sons-in-law, who married his daughters. But earlier it said he didn't have any daughters. I mean, he took his daughters, they were virgins. So if his daughters was virgins, how do they have husbands? So Lot must have had more than 2 daughters. He had to have had, because ain't no daughters going to be living in his house. They got husbands and they ain't virgins. So he must have had more than 2 daughters. Now, if you notice, those other 2 daughters didn't go with Lot. The other 2, the sons-in-laws didn't go with Lot. So their minds probably wasn't on the level where Lot's was. Their righteousness, and the daughters had to follow their husband's lead. Let's say he had 4 daughters. 2 of them had husbands. This is hypothetical. Now, them guys didn't leave with Lot and his wife and his children. So those guys, they would have either stayed behind in Sodom and got destroyed with Sodom and Gomorrah, and their wives would have stayed behind with them. Because the 2 that Lot offered up for sacrifice, them 2 daughters that he was willing to give up for the angels, their lives were spared, and they went with Lot. So sometimes if you want to hold on to something, you got to let it go. At least let it go to the Most High. And they got their lives spared. Didn't work out the way that we would like for it to work out, but it worked out, you know. The other daughters, if he had to have had other daughters, well, they did. They died with Sodom and Gomorrah because they was married to 2 dudes, at least 2 women, 2 dudes. And it wasn't they didn't believe Lot. They made fun of him. They laughed at him. Like you said, Rosh, they laughed at him. They jested him as if it wasn't true. So I just wanted to bring that point out why we had the floor open while we were waiting for any questions. But great lesson. Great lesson. Do we have any questions, family? Did anybody bring up any questions yet?
No, no questions yet.
All that time we ain't got no questions.
Yeah,
All right, I
that
want to ask a question to Rosh. Rosh, in your own words, what do you think that chapter was about? In a nutshell, what do you think the Creator was trying to teach us out of that chapter?
Which chapter are you talking about? Or are you talking about all of them?
The last chapter with Lot and the children and the fires. And what would be the ultimate lesson that we should get out of that?
For me, it was 2 things. 2 things. One, with Abraham, it shows, like I was bringing out, the brotherhood, him literally praying for the safety of his nephew, which he called brother, or the scripture called brother. But also, him not going showed 2 things. One, him not wanting to meddle with what the Most High already has in place. But 2, allowing that other brother to fulfill his connection, his obedience with the Most High. So with Lot, his part in that chapter, it showed me that he was going to move. He might have had questions. Same thing that Abraham had questions. There's nothing wrong with questions for those of y'all that's wondering. Sometimes there's nothing wrong with it. But he had questions, but he still went forward. For me, it was to move forward, even if your wife turned her head. Even if your wife or your family, you said like his other daughters, his family did not go forward. He had to still, in order to survive and be protected by the Most High, he had to continue to go forward. If they didn't listen, if they thought he was playing, he had to still go forward. And lastly, I say that showed me again, I think if he didn't have a foundation of that cultural upbringing with him and Abraham, he may not have ever even survived to that ending point that you're asking me. Culture is important. Brotherhood is important because it strengthens the other brother. I think he was strengthened through Abraham.
Right. That's right. He had a good teacher. And obviously, because he was raised his whole life in Abraham's house. So Abraham, as scripture said, raised his household. He did a great job, and Lot was of his household. And Lot learned from his uncle how to live. And as you just pointed out, the point you just brought out was he took that example even when he separated from Abraham. And he lived that example. He taught it to his children. But you know, when your children get married, they're no longer under your jurisdiction. You got to let them go. And whatever those men teach them is how they got to live. They just got to do what's there. So, yeah, that's what I gather that. He had to learn from Abraham. And then he took that and did his part. Great observation. Great observation. All right. Any other questions, family?
There's a question from Sister Zaquina Tusela on there. You want to read it?
It says, I saw that twice. Lot did not take counsel. Suggestions of Abraham or messenger as to where he was to go and settle. Do you think that thing would have turned out different if he had heeded? Yeah, I'm sure it would have turned out different if he would have listened to what the angels told him to do. But if you notice, he wanted to go in Zoar. He wasn't commanded to go to Zoar. He wanted to go to Zoar. So they compensated and said, okay, we'll go ahead to Zoar. But all the surrounding cities was destroyed. He was told to flee to the mountains at first, but he didn't want to go because he doubted. He didn't think he could make it. So he wanted to go to the closest city. And because he was there in that city was preserved. But Rosh, I don't even think that was my question. That question was for you, bro. You gave that lesson. Let me be quiet. Forgive me.
You look, we Nachnu Echad al Isaiah Chad, so
Okay.
we want
All right. Tell everybody. So that's how it went, sis. It would have been different if he would have held his peace and obeyed. See, a lot of people don't understand how important obedience is. A lot of people don't understand. You want to question. You want to come up with these ideals. You think you know more. You think you know something better. Or you allow your emotions to get involved and you just start blurting it out. Lot shouldn't have never said anything. He should have did what those angels told him to do. And a lot of things would have been different. But he didn't. But even in his ignorance, even in his disobedience, they pacified him, gave him his way, but they still preserved him. And through all that, you'll see where Lot has two sons, the Moabites, and who's the other child that Lot brought forward at that time?
Ammonites.
Ammonites. Very good. Y'all be on top of this, boy. Ammonites. Very good. And both of those nations became, although they were our cousins, they became enemies of Israel. Both nations. Yep. So y'all stay on point, keep doing what you're doing. But at least we know that they had a great upbringing because Lot taught them about the Most High. There again, even with the birth of them two boys, you know that Lot taught them about the Creator. So you knew somebody in their history knew of the Most High. But everybody didn't walk after the Most High. But it is what it is. That was a great lesson, Rosh. Great lesson. You got the floor, sis. Can't hear you.
Okay. Shalom. I thought the lesson was amazing. I was trying not to get too excited as he was breaking down the revelation, especially with Lot's daughters. I thought that was very important because, as he said, as a woman in this truth, and a little bit just in my backstory, I come from my father's house to my Egypt's house, so it was one transition to the other. And when you hear that being talked about in regards to women, as a young woman in this walk, and you hear how Lot was so ready to give his daughters away without it being interpreted right, you would just think that women were, I think Gaber Brittany said at one time that women were so expendable, if that's the word. But I know, of course, now and even with my Ish, that is not the Most High's mindset. He does value us and treasure us truly. as jewels and as precious. And if he told us not to prostitute the daughters of Zion, then he would not have just allowed us to be treated and even ravaged in such a manner. That's not the way that the Most High has intended for the daughters of Zion. But the way Maish brought it out was that he said, do good to them. It was almost like he had no other alternatives. He was like, I'm not going to give the messengers of the Most High to you, but I do have 2 daughters who have not known a man. So for him, that was the perfect trade. He's like, here they are, they're virgins, but do good to them. Like he was thinking that, tame the beast inside, so to speak, but in a way that was, he tried to, I guess, go the most righteous way. And I do appreciate that being brought out, because it does give you a perspective of where Lot's mind was. And even with his upbringing, like you say, with his family, Abraham, that they were probably brought up, I don't want to say so strict, but the Most High was talked about, and that was their foundation. And even though we didn't go in to the after story of what happened to Lot and his daughters in the cave, I do believe, and I wrote that in my note, that living in Sodom and Gomorrah was probably like living in a watered down, because Las Vegas, I think, is bad, but I don't think it's nearly as bad as Sodom and Gomorrah. I've known people that have visited Las Vegas, and they said it's not a place that you want to stay. They said if you're trying to live righteous, it's not a really good place. But I think it was like that, and I believe that if you're in an environment and there's so much wickedness around you, some stuff you can't help but to learn. And that's what I believe, that the daughters that were virgins ended up picking up some of the habits just from there, and end up taking it into when they went into the cave. I know we didn't go that far, but just those different surroundings. Then I want to touch on, I love that the basis of the teaching was brotherhood, because I believe that the patriarchs are the pinnacle and the foundation of family and just leadership. Because where brotherhood is tight, women, children, and just the community is in order. Because if somebody gets out of order, you at least have brotherhood that's trustworthy enough to get that person back in order. With brotherhood, daughters are well looked after, because you have a whole council of people that can seek out if that young man is suitable for that young woman. With brotherhood intact, I just believe you can be trustworthy around, the wives can be around certain people and they're protected. You have people that are always looking after you. And even with brotherhood, if something happens, like the occasion that happened a few days ago, I think yesterday, your vehicle can get jumped. You just have things that guard you. The community is guarded, and I believe that hedge of protection is definitely important. Definitely important, because even with the example of Lot's wife, if she would have just not turned around and been so head over heels for material things and even that lifestyle, because there's no telling what she loved about that. It couldn't even been the homosexuality. She could have loved that, the glamour, just the certain things that that came with that lifestyle, and that's what she could have missed. But the brotherhood just lets you know that if you have a solid foundation, it is sacrificing that too, because sometimes you have to keep going and you can't look back. Even if family doesn't want to go with you, you don't have an option. You have to keep going, because you have to set the example of righteousness. And Lot's wife is an example of why as wives, Nashim, we have to be in order, because our husbands, they are not supposed to stop because we don't want to live righteously. That's not the way it works. The Most High is over everything, even over us. So I do appreciate that being brought out. And it's just like, we have to follow. Sarah had her hiccup, but she still heeded the voice of her Ish. Lot's wife, not so much. And I don't know if Lot might have found her in Sodom and Gomorrah, as versus when Abraham found his wife, he had already met her in the quarters of where the family stayed. I don't know if Lot met his wife in Sodom and Gomorrah. So that is also important too, the upbringing and where where your wife is from. But I just thought it was a really good lesson. Very powerful. And I think it can stick with us for a long time, because there was a lot of jewels in this lesson that I think we all can grab. Children, men, and women. Zehu, shalom.
I wanna say something really quickly. It'll be short. I want taking consideration or another school a way to look at it too. Outside of the good points that my Isha brought out. Um, another another way we could look at it too with Lot's wife, is we have to get to a point where the men and women can trust each other. Because another aspect or perspective could be that she was just scared and turned around instead of just trusting her husband and the messengers that instructed her husband and just kept her face straight. When I look at that as, because I don't want to put it on her per se, but I do want to say that shows me it can also be a sign of lack of trust. Lack of trust don't always necessarily mean like, I just can't trust them. But if you have a fear, I remember us, Princess, I think it was me, you, and the Rosh Shama and them, we had something to where it was a trust game. Closing your eyes or falling and stuff like that. Like, would you, if your husband's behind you, about 4 feet behind you, would you fall back? That seems very small, but I think if we did more games like that, it could get us in a mode of, in a real life situation, you might not be able to. That's a lesson within that lesson. In something like that, some violence happening, you need to stay forward and go this way and keep your eye on your family and your husband. Follow him. You turn around, you might get snatched or hurt. And I think that had a part to be with it, a part to do with it. She didn't fully, in my opinion, in that moment, trust him. Trust him is taking his leadership. And even if you're in fear, continue to look at your husband, especially if he's righteous. Continue to look at him because he's going to protect you. Most High is going to use him to protect you. And that's what I think happened there. Outside of what my Isha brought out, as far as the lifestyle and stuff, I think in that particular moment, she could have been, because it was like bombs and stuff. It was like fire and all that stuff. So you probably like, but they told you not to do that. Just focus on your husband. Focus on your husband, your righteous husband. We ain't saying just any man or woman. Just focus on your righteous husband. And focus on your righteous wife. And with that, I yield.
What do you mean, focus on your righteous wife? What that mean?
So I think that, so you be throwing curveballs, Prince.
Hey, we teaching people. We gotta teach
you
people.
You've been throwing curveballs. So
everything we say. What it means, focus on your righteous wife.
What I'm trying to do when I bring that out, I want to bring balance because I don't want people to think I'm really talking about just man. But that is important in this subject. But as far as the wife, I think we just both need to be righteous. And before you even become married, make sure you understand if this man and or woman is righteous, because then you truly should just be focusing on the Most High, but you don't want to be making no moves with this individual. This is my opinion. I'm not putting this on everybody. You shouldn't be married to nobody that's not righteous anyway. The problem is some of us are married to men and women that's not righteous, and it causes us to go through what like Prince brought out with his daughters. His daughters end up staying up because they're married to men that wasn't righteous. If they was righteous, they would have followed the messages of the Most High if they was righteous. But we have men that might be prideful and not want to, well, I ain't about to follow this person. You know what I'm saying? So I want to bring that back to the women as well. If we just find men and women as righteous, we can focus all on Most High. But if not, we got to be like Lot and continue going. He didn't focus on his wife at that moment, who was not in that moment, and I don't know her past history, righteous. Because if she was righteous, she would have followed him. That's just my opinion. If she was righteous, but she could have been scared. So it's a lot to unpack. It's not no black and white with me with this subject. It's just a lot to unpack. And the way that last thing I'm going to say, the way that you can maintain your righteousness is to practice it. You have to practice it intentionally. So if your husband is saying certain things or bringing certain things out that maybe you don't even like, try to stay in the consistency of moving a certain way outside of your home versus inside of your home. They were outside of their home then. The righteousness would have maintained or kept her focused on her husband outside of the home because he's the protector in the home, but outside of the home more so. So it's a lot, man. This is another lesson in itself. And if y'all want me to talk on this, I'll break this down and show what I'm really trying to bring forth, because it's too many variables, and it could be sound bites that you're catching from what I'm saying and might not know where I'm going fully.
Maybe that could be your next lesson, because it's a very good lesson. And I totally agree with you in completeness. Women need to learn to trust their husbands. Today, we're in a lot of relationships with Israelite men, Israelite women, Israelite males, Israelite females. It should be Israelite men, Israelite women. But today, we got a lot of relationships in our culture that people shouldn't be married at all, because a lot of the females don't know how to be women. They don't conduct themselves as women. And a lot of the males are nowhere near qualified to have a wife. A lot of us think as long as we duking it down, we married. And it don't go that way. Because with responsibility, commitment, responsibility, commitment, that's a marriage when you look at it in that way. So yeah, it's a lot to it. And a lot of us don't see it that way. Now, there was a couple things that came out. I see that verse there, Iman. I'm going to jump on that in a minute, unless Rosh decides he wants to talk about it. But I wanted to deal with what Maisha said about verse 17. The commandment was, look not behind thee. And Lot's wife did exactly that. She brought that out. The commandment was, don't look back. And she did exactly what she was told not to do. But that commandment is not just back, it's not just for her. We can think about that commandment, we can meditate on that commandment, and we can pay attention to it. A lot of us in our lives today, we miss what we used to have. We miss the fun we used to have when we wasn't walking in the ways of righteousness. We used to be out in the streets doing anything and everything. We involved ourselves with a lot of things, and it was fun. It was a whole different world. And now, 10, 15, 20 years later, we get to look back at that and we miss those emotions that we used to have back then. A lot of us, we get to a certain part of our lives and we keep looking back at what we used to do, how loose and free and sexually we was back then. And now here we are married, and it's very difficult for us to get those emotions out of the way. And we have expectations that are unrealistic today because of what we imagined what that was like way back then. It's very difficult for us to look forward and stay focused forward as opposed to thinking about what used to be. And I want y'all to know this. When you focus on your past, it becomes a lot stronger and different than what it actually was when you were there. You follow what I'm saying? Like when you watch the movie back then, at the time of watching that movie, it was all right, you know? But now, 10 years later, when you think about that movie, and it was all right then, but now it's like great. Tell my brother, yo, man, that movie was good. I saw that movie 10 years ago. Man, that joint was great. And it wasn't all that then. But for some reason, you inflate it in your consciousness when you bring that memory back into this time in life. So half the things that you had been through, when you were there, it was nowhere the emphasis, the impact, the satisfaction and the pleasure you got at that moment wasn't nowhere near like what you're creating in your thoughts. Like the weed you used to smoke. Remember y'all used to smoke weed 20 years ago? Y'all remember that? used to drink alcohol. It was, oh, this is fun. This is great. Now you stop it. You don't do it no more, and you ain't did it in 10, 15, 20 years. But when you think about those days were so much fun. And it wasn't. Because right after you got finished smoking that weed you laid down, you went to sleep, you woke up, you threw up, all type of things took place after that alcohol and those things that you did that you remembered and always said to yourself, I got to stop this. The mental toll that it took on your mind. And you always said to yourself, I got to stop this. Now, 20 years later, you're a better individual. You're a more strong and powerful individual. You're much, much more spiritual. You look back at that, and it's no longer the reality that it was at that time. All you get is the good things, and you enhance it at that part, and you don't even feel or think or allow the impact of the reality that you were going through at that time to enter into your mind. All you see is the good things that you think you miss. So Lot was told not to look back behind thee, not just so that you don't see, but so that you don't see. You don't think. Because everything behind them was evil and wicked and lustful. But where the angels was leading them to was a totally, completely different life than what they experienced. So when she looked back, it don't just mean that she turned her head physically back. Her desires, her cravings, the things she desired in her mind first is what caused her to turn around and say, hey, what's going on? Now, what I'm saying right now is just a possibility. So I'm trying to sum it all up in a nutshell and tell you all that the life you walked away from, don't even meditate on it. Don't even think about it. You ain't missed nothing. And a lot of people you shut out of your life at that time, don't even think about them because you shut them off for a reason. Don't even try to bring them back. Don't even try to call them. I got to bring closure to this. No. It was closed the moment you got away from them. No more. It was closed then. Let it remain closed. Satisfy the Most High and keep looking forward to where you're going as opposed to where you've been. Y'all understand me? Keep looking forward to where you're going as opposed to what's back there behind you from where you come from. May the Most High be praised. Total Rabbah, great lesson, Rosh. Now, Imam, pull that question back up, please. That comment. Rosh, you want to address that or you want me to do it?
You got it.
Whatever happened to Lot's herdsmen? Well, let me ask y'all a question. How many people do you know today that was once in your life, and then when you made a transition in your life to become separate, sanctified, holy, and walk in the Most High with all of your essence, those people seem to just back away from you and you move on, and next thing you know, you're by yourself? How often does that happen in life with you? How many friends do you have today that y'all still as close as y'all was 30 years ago, 20 years ago? It don't go that way. Y'all still cool. Some of the instances y'all may still be cool, but it ain't nowhere near like it was when you was out there doing the things that they're still stuck out there doing. All right. When Lot moved into a city, he confined himself. When he was out in the plains, out in the land, it was open field. He was the boss. But when he moved into the city, he gave up his power. He gave up his jurisdiction. And he allowed someone else to rule over him. That's why those men had the power to just knock on his door and say, hey, bring the men out because they ran the show. Think if Lot was in his community and somebody came to his door, he could say, yo, get him. Or they would have enough respect for him that they wouldn't just come knocking on his door because he's Lot. He's the head. He was the head back then. Abram told Lot, he said, take me and my men gonna go over here. You pick wherever you want, and we're gonna go to the opposite way. Those was Lot men. Y'all follow me? But when he gave up his authority or his leadership position to become a regular man, by moving into a city, the city of Sodom and Gomorrah, he had to relinquish all his rights and on most of his possessions, if you really think about it for a second. Now, when the war broke out, a lot of his men could have been destroyed then. They could have been killed during the time of the war, or they could have been captive and never was saved during that time of the warfare. We don't know if this, in my opinion, when Lot went to Sodom, he had already lost everything. His men, see, this is what y'all got to understand. And I'm going to try to say this as respectfully as I possibly can. It's the people in your life, the right people in your life, that helps you to be the best that you could possibly be. You follow me? Having the right people in your life will help you to be the best that you can possibly be. Here's my example. When Lot walked with Abram, he grew. He was powerful. He had his own military men, his own army, his own land, his own cattle. Scripture says he got so prosperous that they had to separate him and Lot, him and Abram. They had to separate because the people was quarreling because they had so much. Well, here we go now, 10 years later? And Lot is confined to a city now. He's living in a city. He don't have his own plane, his own land. He don't have his army no more. He could have probably defended himself when he had his army, but he ain't got them people with him no more. It's just him. The men that he got in his household that married his daughter don't respect him. They laughing at him, talking about him, probably because he didn't associate with life in the city like he did when he was living in the country, worshiping the Most High. He probably didn't go out and do what they did. Think about it. The strangers came, the people of the city came knocking on his door, saying, bring those men out. And what did Lot do? Lot went out there and addressed them, closed the door behind him. And he went out there and addressed them. So that showed you that he wasn't scared of the men. He was used to the men, but yet he gave up his authority by living in the city with the men. Just like right now, if you give up your authority, you move into the country, you move into the city, you relinquish a lot of authority that you have over your own men. In the country, they're not supposed to come on your land unless you give them permission. Do you ever remember the story of the white boy, what was his name, David Koresh? When the government, David Koresh had a whole town in Texas, his whole compound. They couldn't just go on that man's land. So they made up a story and said that they were shooting at the authorities. And that gave them the right to go and do what they did to David Koresh and his people. But you live in a city, they can knock on your door, they can sit outside your door, they can do whatever, they can kick your door down in a lot of instances if accusations come forward. In a country, it's different. And it's not as different as I would like for it to be. But living in a city, you give up your authority, you relinquish your authority and your dominion over your own being. And you fall under somebody else's jurisdiction. And that's what Lot did. He lost his army, he lost all his wealth, and all he had was a house with him and his wives and his children. Well, I only know he had one wife. But Lot completely changed. When he was under Abram, he flourished because he was living under a righteous man. He flourished. But the moment he got out on his own, slowly but surely, everything that he had acquired living under Abram's rules, he lost. He was still trying to live a righteous life because that's why the angels came to him to try to preserve him. He was still trying to live a righteous life, but it's always better with the people that you got around you is living that same lifestyle with you and you're obeying what's going on. It's very important. So I pray that I answered all the questions that came out.
Came, that's all that I've seen.
Yeah, she was looking for something. She probably want to know if she had the pot still in the stove till she got back. All right. Any other comments? Any other questions? So it's 2:22. We're going to go, if we can, go up to this 3 o'clock hour, and then we'll take our break and come back at 4. I pray that will be all right. Other than that, we're only going to have a half-hour break. So what I want to do is I want to hear from you all about your thoughts on today's lesson that Rosh brought forward. Can we all give our thoughts on the lesson that Rosh brought forward today and tell us what we got out of it? How did it affect your spirit? What did you learn from the lesson that you can take forward with you going forward in life? Let's talk about these things, because you did an excellent job. Anybody like to be first? And for you in the audience, if you're not here live, you can just type what your experience was from today's lesson, and then we can approach it from there.
Can I be heard?
Yes.
Yeah, Total Rabbi Rosh, once again, for a powerful lesson. I got a lot of it out of it besides brotherhood. I think what struck me most was the last chapter that we did read, because it did deal a lot more so with women and how we should conduct ourselves and things like that. But the part that I really enjoyed was when you brought out stuff about Sarah or Sarai. And I knew that when she heard the angels of the Creator talking about how she was going to have a son, I did remember that she laughed. Like, I didn't know she did that. But what I didn't know was that one of those representatives, representing the Most High himself, actually said, confronted her in a way. I think it's chapter 18, verse 15. And that representative, if you will, said, "No, but thou did laugh," right? And I actually didn't know that she denied it. I knew she laughed, but I didn't know the other side of the coin, that she was confronted on it, denied it, and then the Most High, or this representative of the Creator in this way, had mercy on her in that moment. And I couldn't help but think about how a parent deals with the child that's scared, or deals with the child that got caught lying or something like that. It just makes me think of that, because I think a lot of people, depending on how you were raised, of course, but we can see that being fearful can make you do things. It can make you lie. It can make you scared. Sometimes it makes people fight or flight. Sometimes it makes people do other things. But in this moment for Sarah, we all know she was a really, really righteous woman. She did deny something. And you can go as far as to say that she did lie. Yeah. And I think that for me, it just showed that the Most High actually knew what was in her heart, and she knew why. The Creator knew why she did what she did. And I think you also said something at that point about Sarah's consistency, because if she was a wicked or unrighteous woman to Abraham, or unrighteous wife to him, or just unrighteous, maybe the Most High wouldn't have had as much mercy on her as he decided to do in that moment, right? So he looked past it. He addressed it, or this representative of the Creator addressed it, but there was mercy given. And as you said, Rosh, I think too, that we didn't see a punishment or anything. So I'm not saying this to say that we should lie or anything, or do certain things in fear, but I think this was a very real and humanistic, if you will, moment for Sarah. I haven't seen, this is the only thing I've seen of Sarah doing anything bad. And that's it. Every time I hear about Sarah, it's very, very good, all these good things. This is the first time that I've ever seen her have this moment of weakness. And I think that for me, it was just very real. Like, yeah, you can also mess up and do certain things like that too. But the Most High chooses to have mercy on who he has mercy on, and that is his decision. But I do think that because of Sarah's deeds to her husband, to her people, and to how she worships the Most High and her relationship with him, that he had mercy on her. So it makes me think of what I need to work on as far as my own consistency with the Creator, but my own consistency with my own husband as well. both from Sarah's moment of weakness and talking about Lot's wife. Both of those things make me think of that, like what I could be doing better in my own marriage, and how I can serve better in my own marriage. So that's what stuck out to me. The brotherhood, of course, the foundation of it all, but that just hit. Those two things were what hit for me in my heart, home run. So Toda Rabah for that. And also, slight other thing, when we talked about Abraham asking the creator, like, I mean, well, the representative, but you know what I mean, asking the representative, can you bring the number down? Or ask, what was he doing? He was asking him, if there be a certain amount of people, will you save the city? That thing, that whole thing. And then he brought the number down, and the representative brought the number down. I also thought about what you said, the Abraham's consistency as well, because just like Sarah, her consistency and her works probably are what saved her in that moment of weakness, right? With that representative of the creator. Now, Abraham, we all know, was a friend of the Most High, and even more so, I would assume, than Sarah. But he was asking and asking and asking and asking. And again, the patience that had to be given, well, not had to be, but that the Most High chose to give his servant, probably was due to his servant's obedience and consistency and all those things. So I think some people might think like, oh, he was asking and asking, and the Most High just got annoyed or something like that. Like, no, maybe he did. Can't say that the Most High got annoyed. We can't say that the Most High felt any other way besides patience, because that's what he exemplified. Because sometimes I think I was kind of taught not to ask, even though I do this anyway, not to ask things for multiple times and times again. I do that in regular life, but I also do that to the Most High too. And you might get an answer quicker, you might not. It maybe depends on your relationship with him, your consistencies, what you have done for the Most High, how you have served him and been consistent in your life. So I kind of have always been told, don't ask more than once, maybe not even more than 2 times, because that doesn't do anything. And that can be true in a way, but here we do see a friend of the creator, a true friend, a real true friend of the creator, asking in a very humble way. Each time he asked, it was even more humble, right? He approached this representative of the creator even in an even more humble way. So it does give me comfort knowing I can ask the Most High of things, and maybe even more than once, but it does remind me, before you do that, come humble and reflect on if you have that type of relationship to do that, reflect on your deeds and your consistencies with the creator, because who knows, if Abraham wasn't that friend, would the Most High have been a little bit more non-patient? I don't know. We can't really say, but I do like that we do see the Most High's patience regardless of that. So
Right.
that is it.
Very good. Toda Rabah. Toda Rabah. Anyone else?
Okay, and I'll go ahead. What I did, it was a few things that I really thought were thought provoking that Rosh brought out today. One, when he the first thing was when Abraham asked Sarai to, be his sister, or say she's his sister. And, a lot of people be like, oh, well, he made her lie. But what was brought out, and what I always think about is, well, he did that in a form of protection. Because a lot of times it was a point, he even said, if somebody comes to your door that is bringing evil or danger to your home, and they ask who else is in the house, you're not going to tell them, oh yeah, my family's upstairs, or whoever may be there, if you're trying to protect yourself and them. So I thought that point was very very good. The way he brought it out was very good, because a lot of times we don't think about the reasons why someone may not tell or may tell someone something, and not always look at it as a lie, but a form of protection. So, and it's a thin line, because we have to be able to show our children the difference in that, because there is a commandment that tells us thou shalt not lie. So we do have to be able to show what it is that's being done, so that it's not just assumed or thought about in that way, and then that's the thought process or what someone takes from that. What else I got from that was just the familyhood, the practice of being together. You know, when Lot was with his uncle, he was learning and he was gaining understanding of righteousness and how to be righteous, how to remain righteous, you know, in himself. But once he separated from him, he became a different type of man, even though he still had some of the principles, because we saw them later. But it was still he was still, he brought his children up in that space, which it's kind of like what we're doing, how we're living here today in America, where we are living in Babylon, we're living in all this craziness. And if our children are exposed to it, some form or fashion, they're being touched by this world. And if we allow them to just be a part of this world completely, when the order is given, when the Most High sends his angels down or whatever is given for us to move out, a lot of us are going to lose our children to this world, just as Lot was lost in that world and lost some of his children and his wife to that world. So it was just different lessons, definitely, of not looking back. You know, that's something that we say a lot: forwards ever, backwards never, because sometimes most times going back is not the way to go. You can learn from the lessons of your past and things like that, but you can't go back there. And then one thing you brought out, Ish Abba, is that your memories can sometimes cause you to look back. Like, she could have been thinking like, oh, I wonder what that noise was. I wonder if it destroyed my house or anything. And her looking back automatically caused her to perish, because she followed her thoughts instead of following what was her command to just keep going. Because, you know, later you can think about that. And then also made me think about just the way I grew up. Like, we always were taught, like, when you're given a command, you have to follow it, because it could be a life or matter or death. I mean, life or death. And if you are not following an order and the police come or the enemy comes, and there's an order being given, whether it's by your husband, your father, the leader at that time of the community, whoever's in charge, and you look back, or you know, whatever, turn around, whatever, you scratch your head, that could mean the death of so many people, because you didn't follow an order, you didn't follow that plan. So it was very insightful on a lot of things. It made me think about things. Definitely what my sister's wife said about those two women showing you the diligence in honoring your husband, and showing you how to, you know, the different ways they honored them, and then also their fear, and understanding that, you know, we have a lot to consider when we get married. I believe that was brought out about having a righteous husband, having a righteous wife. And that's part of that courtship process, to be able to determine if you are in a relationship with a righteous person. Because a lot of times we think, oh, they're Hebrew Israelites, so yeah, they're righteous. And you just go jump to that relationship. That doesn't, just because they carry the title or call themselves a Hebrew Israelite, does not mean they're righteous. And when I say righteous, I mean righteous in the practices of living the Torah, following and applying the Torah to their daily lives. You know, so I think it was so many great points that were brought out today. And definitely the key point of brotherhood, because as my spiritual Bati said, brother, like, if there's no brotherhood, it can cause so much imbalance in a community. And I know we're both saying this because we live in a community. So living in this community we're living in now, and I would say, if you and Rosh didn't have a brotherhood that you have, it would be hard for you to trust that when you're not present on the land, that your wife and your children that are still here residing once you leave the land are covered, are protected. And if you don't have a brotherhood, you can't trust the other men that are on the land with you to make sure that your family is still going to be protected in the absence of your physical presence. So it's very important. And I think about that. I was telling a sister the other day when I was at the convention, like, I don't trust too many men. And the ones that I do trust have proven that they're trustworthy. And, outside of my immediate family, my father and my brothers, a couple of my uncles here or there, then, my husband, and learning now, have gone through so much that we've gone through, having a trust for Rosh, because you have a trust for Rosh, so y'all have established a foundation of brotherhood that allows, as Mabati said, for us as the women to also have a trust in where you placed us. Because if we can't, and that's what you said, if you don't trust your husband, then, it's chaos. So if I didn't trust you to be here, to leave me here in the hands of your brother of covering, then we would have a problem, because I would go against the command of, like, making sure the gate's locked, just different things that are commanded of us, as the men, place certain rules. I mean, we have rules too, but your rules are, important for us to follow. So I love the brotherhood conversation, because in Israel we see it so often. You always have sisterhoods, but you barely have brotherhoods. The brothers will come together, and every now and then you might see them chopping it up, but actually living and doing things together, forming a brotherhood, a true brotherhood of communicating and helping one another, and making sure, hey, their children are fine if they're not present, their wives, their family, their fathers and their mothers, that's so important. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for having that presence of brotherhood. I'm thankful for having that presence of trust, because I believe everybody, knows my trust levels, on the outside of who I named, are very slim to none. And so it's so important to have trust, to manifest that trust, and for even you all to continue to push forward to build the trust further and further. So I appreciate that. The lesson was awesome on so many levels, as I said. And I'm just thankful that so many were able to, tune in today to hear it, because that's a key too. A lot of times we get into these, people come to, you go to services, but we're just combated with rhetoric. So it's so important that we are teaching the practices of what we need to be, so that we can move forward and truly become who we're supposed to be. So, Toda Rabah.
What about the Most High be praised? All right. One thing I want to point out is I heard you speaking, both of you, a lot about brotherhood. Can I be heard? Okay. I heard you speaking a lot about brotherhood. A lot of people don't understand the significance in brotherhood, but I heard you talk about, like, when I'm not there in the land, that you got to have somebody there to protect you and look out for you and make sure you're safe. And only a real brother is going to do that, because most people just put their own selves before they put the care of the people. So here's one of the things that we do here. See, hold your hand up, Ema. Turn it around. The other hand, turn it around. Turn it around. Let them see your hand. See that little red fingernail polish you got on her finger? Ishi, put your hand up and show them yours. See that little one finger that's painted red? You can put it down. Thank you. That means something. It means that those women belong to a man that's a part of a brotherhood. If anything happens to the women when they out on the street, they could be at the laundromat. They could be in Whole Foods. They could be anywhere. And hypothetical situation. Go to the cash register and somebody just stole their money. They ain't got no money. If there's another brother in there that understands the significance of that red fingernail on that finger, they won't have to pay for anything. We got you, sis. Don't worry about it. They look out for you. That's what brotherhood is all about. And they ain't never got to say nothing to you. They ain't got to open their mouth and say, oh, why you got that red fingernail on that one finger? They ain't got to say anything. But once they see that and they recognize that, they know that they're responsible for that sister. So these are just other ways of furthering our brotherhood on another level. You go to a hotel. My wife, both of them can tell you, super discounts be coming around with us, don't they, y'all? Things be happening, don't they? And they don't say nothing, they just do it. Because the people who know it, they see it and they understand what it's about and they just make it happen for you. I went to the movies the other day. And we got in free. Young brother standing at the door. I had a little conversation with him. Hey, shalom, what's up? Yeah, let us right in. Now, what am I saying? I'm saying that those societies out there have their ways of doing things that gives them help and support in their time of need. Well, we have to begin to do the same thing for our own. We have to create something for the righteous side of all this. We already did it. And if you're honored enough for somebody to ask you to join, then that's a powerful thing, because that means that person has enough respect for you on a high caliber level that they don't see you like everybody else. And I've walked the earth with a lot of men, a lot of males for a long time, and some of them were men for a long time, and haven't extended that type of opportunity to them because they wasn't worthy. A lot of people don't take loyalty, honor, integrity. They don't take those things seriously. And when you meet a man or a male, he can't be a male if he takes loyal, honor, and integrity seriously. He can't be a male. He has to be a man, because males don't see like that. Males are only worried about themselves. They have no loyalty to anybody but themselves. Not even to their wives, just themselves. And that's not a man. A man understands the principles of manhood. And when you find those types of individuals, you have to embrace them and you bring them in and you build a bond, a relationship with those type of people that is unshakable by distance and space and time. So all I'm suggesting, family, we all talk about brothers and sisters. We got to start living truly with a brotherhood that's beyond the average or the typical relationships that you see these people join. Oh, we got a community, we got an Israelite group, house of worship that everybody go to, and everybody got the little handshake. We know the grips and we know all that stuff, and we think that's a brotherhood, but it's not. Because the moment something goes that they don't like, they on you. And I don't mean on you like, yo, bro, come here, let me talk to you. Let me holler at you. I mean banning you, kicking you out, talking bad about you, spreading false reports about you. And that's just foolishness. But if there was a brotherhood, this is what brotherhood does. I told this story a long time ago. These brothers had this brotherhood, and it was a great brotherhood. And they was the epitome of righteousness, how men supposed to conduct themselves in the culture, in life. And one of the brothers fell for this girl. The other brothers that was in the community told the brother, yo, man, the girl is no good. Stay away from the chick. She's no good. She's going to mess your life up. So the brother didn't want to listen. So he goes out and he sneaks out with the girl. He started doing on the snake side because he knew his brothers didn't want him in it. First thing about brotherhood, you got to pay attention and listen. And nothing should be more important to you than your brother. All right? So he goes out and he involves himself with this young lady. And then he's missing for like 3 or 4 days. And nobody knew where he was. So the brother calls around. Hey, have you seen my brother Yirmiyahu? No, I ain't seen Yirmiyahu in a while. So the brother starts wondering where his brother is. So he gets up and he walks the neighborhood where his brother was. He traveled 30, 40 miles to get there. He walks through all the communities where the neighborhood where his brother lived. He can't find the brother. Then he comes up on this crackhead who says, oh, Yirmiyahu, he around the corner in that house with that girl. So the brother goes to Yirmiyahu, the house that the brother said, that the crackhead said Yirmiyahu was at. He goes knock on the door. Who answers the door but Yirmiyahu? Yirmiyahu says to his brother, I was afraid. He said, why was you afraid? He said, I was afraid that y'all wouldn't want me no more, that y'all wouldn't like me no more, because I gave in and I fell and I started getting high and I went with this girl who I knew was a crackhead and she just messed my life up. I've been sneaking around all this time. And the brother said, yo, man, don't nothing come in between this. Flesh and blood don't come in between this. You're my brother. And no matter what mistakes you make in life, we're going to make them together. And we're going to help to fix the mistakes that we make in life by remaining loyal to the cause. So with all that, the brother, the Yirmiyahu had fell. He went with a crackhead. He stayed away from the brotherhood. He was ashamed of what he had given himself over to. But even in being ashamed, the brotherhood was there to pick him up. Nobody knew what happened to him. The brother that went there and did all that, he didn't broadcast his brother's information and business in the street. What he did was he helped his brother to get strong again. He helped him. He raised him up and got him where he needed to be in life again. Even if it means sacrificing his own self to help his brother, that's what it's about. If somebody says to your brother, hey, shalom, bro, and then they talking about you and broadcasting it to the public, disrespecting you and bringing you down because of your errors or your mistakes in life, that's not your brother. So a lot of us don't know what true brotherhood is. We don't. And we don't have to go all bend over backwards to lift up cars and move buildings and give up all your money unless your brother really need it. Unless him, his children, and his family, unless they really need it, then you got to do that. But that's what brotherhood is all about. And real sisterhood is on that same level. But a lot of people don't understand that. What about the sisters in the community without a red fingernail? Well, I would say if you got a husband, your husband needs to get on point with the brotherhoods in that relationship. And if you're a sister and you got, well, that's Sister Ornette. We talk about it later, sis, because you fall under that umbrella because you're a part of the community. So you fall under that umbrella, but we can make some things happen. It's just that we got to pay attention and we got to learn what this thing is about. And we got to bring certain people in our circle that's going to really be about that same life. Because if not, you're going to get a lot of moochers, a lot of freeloaders, but they're not going to reciprocate that same energy. And that's never good. That right there is never a good thing. When you come in the midst of a community, you have to be about that life. You got to give out as much as you expect to get back in. Matter of fact, you should give out more than what you expect to give in, to put in. As long as we move in that spirit, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. So today, this was a great lesson. It was a great lesson. May the Most High be praised. Are there any other questions before we close out? Rosh, did you try to speak?
Yeah, I just wanted to say total off for everyone that left their comment on it. All glory and honor goes to the Most High for the lesson. And again, like I stated in the beginning, what took place with me and Prince for the second or third time is kind of what inspired the lesson, So that's why I know when you saw the picture and it said brotherhood, you probably like, where you go with this? But just total to the Most High for this and total for you all.
All right. May the Most High be praised. Now, if y'all ain't a part of that brotherhood, and you start painting your fingernail red, you'll still get some blessings because people won't know, but people who are a part of the brotherhood would know. But it will be best. It will be best if you did it and your husband was a part of that brotherhood, because that causes the harmony, it causes the rhythm, and it brings great benefits to you and your family to have a real live brotherhood and sisterhood in its true form. You can always fake it and put that little thing on your finger and walk around, but you'll still get blessed because people don't know. They're not going to ask you questions. They just do for you. They just look out for you. But when you go home at night and when you come across hard times, unless you got somebody that's really connected with you, that's a part of that struggle, you just doing it for the public. But it would be best if you did it with a conscious mind, knowing that you belong to that community. All right, so may the Most High be praised. If anybody want any further information, just let us know, and we'll do the very best we can to help you all to be informed, to prepare you for what's about to happen. So we're going to take our break now. Anyone else want to say anything before we close it out? Any other comments, questions, or concerns? All right. We're going to close out our lesson at this portion, and we're going to return back at 4 o'clock. Normally, we come back at 3 o'clock. We close out at 2, but Rosh took us so far. The information was so good, and we just didn't want to stop. So we're going to see how we made that shift. We adjusted. That's how you got to be in life sometimes. You got to make adjustments. So we're going to come back at 4 o'clock. May the Most High be praised. Hope to see you all back. Share, like, subscribe, and invite people. And we'll see what we can do to build this community. May the Most High be praised. Toda Rabbah.